How are you today?
And Dawn is right behind you. Good. The only person that isn't going to be able to get here is Jason.
So what do you think we're looking at 3 or 4?
Oh, God, no. All right, we have a problem.
David, I need to talk to you about a tree.
To the rest of it.
Yeah. It's not, yeah, it's
I don't
not
know, I
an elm
haven't
tree.
looked.
It's alcova.
Yeah,
They look like elms, but they don't have as much of a root
okay,
because it's not a big enough space for an elm.
They
okay.
said do yours
It's
in
what Dale
color,
said, and he didn't want you to
but
do
the
it
outlets are
set.
going in black and white.
But it's just not an elm location.
Okay.
Oh.
It's a Zelkova.
Okay, as long as I get a color.
Zelkova.
As long as I get a color.
Yeah, yours is color.
What it does is it tells people if they're
Yeah,
They were
Now,
saying
they're
that, right, they were
Related
saying
to the
it's
elm.
related to the elm. It
Yeah.
just
Everyone on
doesn't
the
have as
board.
much of a
a
root.
color one, and then just do the black one.
Okay,
Brand.
cool. That's fine, because
Elms are
everybody up there doesn't
huge,
know.
The
No, then I'll
the
need to
habit
know
looks
all
the
of them.
same.
What do you think, 3 or 4?
And if it doesn't get as big as an elm, that's okay,
Yeah.
because my
Maybe
house
not even
looks
3,
like
but
a
safe.
doghouse or a garden
3 is
shed
definitely
if
safe.
it gets too big.
Say
Yeah, it won't be anywhere near as big
20,
as that.
quarter 3?
Yeah, let's go
We're
there.
thrilled to have it.
But he didn't want you to be too upset at Mom now.
I don't want to hear it.
Quarter?
I have a 6
Who's taking care of it? Do we know what it is? Is it just the flu?
No full nail sauce. We have whole days.
There's a no.
No.
Since none of
We're
them
gonna
is
say
here,
we're like
represent
7
the
and
farmers. Can we just go to new business because I've got to meet?
No, because David's going to leave.
Yeah, call me. It's going to be
We're
earlier
going
or
to lose some
later.
My
members.
kids are going to get it before I leave.
Most of these are fairly simple,
Without them, my friends don't.
and Luke is here for this.
You never call me.
Carrie's here. What are you, tag teaming? Are they both here? We never see you both here at the same time. It's usually a tag team.
I'm going to record now.
Wow, remember that, guys. We see them both here at the same time. I thought you were one and the same person and you just switched up.
Yeah, we just switch genders every now and then.
I had my tongue.
Are you coming to this meeting or not?
On you, but I had my tongue.
We can't wait for you. Fine. He's coming, so we'll just skip over Emeritus Matt. We're going to open the meeting now at 1:05 on Thursday, April 10th, which is a continuation of April 8th's HCC meeting. On Tuesday, present are John McLaughlin, Diane Coombs, Abby Camp, David Barham, Dawn Hill Holgate, and Linda Williams. We do have an audio tape, right? And we do have a TV tape. So if anybody else would like to tape the meeting, please let us know. There you go. Little musical interlude. Somebody want to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Diane's made a motion to approve the agenda. All those in favor? Okay, that was unanimous. And we have 2 consent items.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Question on it? Madam?
Yep.
16 Plum, revised, what?
It was a shed.
They added
They added 2 feet to a shed. A shed.
Oh, it's a shed, okay.
I had that on there. It got taken off when it got moved.
Okay, thank you.
David's made a motion to approve the consents. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that would be the regular board with Abby sitting as an alternate. There, we have everybody here for this. Okay, so that was yes. We have no consents with conditions, no signs. We're taking care of the 2 60-day denials. I don't know, Katie, if they've come in. I emailed them both this morning. Val was coming in for Keija. And
Yeah.
did you?
No, we're on hold.
I can't hold it. It's got to be denied.
No, I went in and signed the thing. That's what you're talking about?
That's what I'm talking about.
It's
Okay.
all set.
Good. And then there was a...
Miracle came in this morning to do an extension.
Okay, those are done then. There are no signs at the moment. There will be next week. Now we have old business for quorums, and we have Soren Sorensen, which we're going to hold until he gets here. He's on the way.
I don't see Steve Cohen either.
C's downstairs. Steve Cohen, everything was done. So you might as well listen to 96.
Okay, so 96 bucks?
Yeah.
wasn't sure she was going to wait. Oh, there he is.
Yeah. The people, a lot of us are going up and down. You're not going for a while down there.
No, it's going to be forever.
Yeah.
They're still in social.
We worked on it last month. I don't know why they're still in Sitchin. We do have a board on this one, Katie?
They can't, it's one of those things they can't end it.
Yes, Williams, McLaughlin, Coombs.
All right, Williams, John, and you, me, and Diane. Okay, go.
I'll be very brief. I think that we've addressed all the board's concerns by pulling the gambrel out, the gambrel main masking out a couple of feet and twisting the building to accomplish that because of the tightness of the lot. We worked on where the rakes and the windows line up so that it didn't look funny. And I don't know if there were other changes, but I know that we addressed them all.
Yep, for me anyway.
Yeah, the negative massing is eliminated.
Yep. Okay, Diane, any more concerns? Look at you're right there. They pulled it out, pulled the windows up.
Right. What else did you say, Steve?
The windows and the rakes on the main gambrel were
Yep.
adjusted. The gambrel itself, we twisted the building a little bit to create some room at the setback, and so that we could create a 2-foot separation there. Maybe it's just under 3 feet. And then I think the negative massing was addressed in the last application, but it's eliminated here.
Right.
John's already folding.
Okay.
Somebody want to make a motion?
There's a motion to approve.
Which way do you want these passed?
This way. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that was unanimous
Thank
for the
you.
tape. Thank you very much. What are you going back downstairs?
Yeah. I don't think I have anything else up here.
All right. You're supposed to text me when Judith and Jason's, which is either before or after Bridges.
Oh, Max
It's
Berry's
right
space?
next to you.
Are we
Yeah.
Yeah. You want me to text her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before, are you going to go to Matt or are you going to do Galen?
He's just Matt. Come on.
All right, let me take this back.
All right, we're going to back up a little bit. We're going back to Sorensen. Matt McEachern. We can't
We
play
have
around today.
Williams, Hill, Holgate, Varnum, Coombs, Leonardo, and Camp.
Whoa, wait a minute. Because we didn't have a quorum the other day. Who's on it? No, that was just to continue. Go back to the one where we had testimony. We're down to 3 people on
Hold
that.
on, I'm sorry.
There's only 3 of us.
Williams, Hill, Holgate, and McLaughlin.
Okay, so it's John, you, me, and Dawn. And I take it you still have white.
Yeah.
Whatever.
With the lack of traffic.
Don, do you have any concerns?
No, thank you, Matt.
Thanks for working with us.
Yeah.
John, do you have any more concerns? Holding the plan. All right, somebody make a motion? Don's made a motion to approve. All those in favor? John? Dawn?
Yes.
She's not here to take notes.
Aye.
So we have to do it for the tape. That was unanimous? Yay. Okay, Scavo.
This one's done.
With myself and Dawn and you.
I think I'm still.
Yeah. We're down to 3 on this one too, Katie.
Yeah.
John, you got Adobe to
Dawn gets a copy.
Williams, Hill, Holgate, and McLaughlin.
Yep, you, me, and Dawn, John. Okay, go.
Okay. So we have made a couple of changes. I've had a letter from the client that I want to read, and I want to kind of reorient the three of you guys in, because there are three big sticking issues with this project. One is the second floor door to the second floor deck. Two is the left-hand first floor deck that we'd already pushed back from the street that the owners really wanted to keep. And so what I wanted to do was just bring you this little presentation board, which sort of shows very clearly, the immediate adjacent buildings and what we're proposing and why we feel and why the owners feel that what we're asking for is moderate in terms of the neighbors. So I just want to point out that our proposal, I just want to show Dawn myself. Dawn, on the front here, we've got basically 3 windows and a door. Across the street, there's a whole band of, there's probably 10 windows and doors up here. There's probably 15 down here. It's just
Say it for John.
John, okay, right across this is us. This is what we're proposing. Across the street, there's a great deal more fenestration, and the owners. That's why the owners would like to appeal to you to reconsider that what we're doing is reasonable. Also, immediately next door, 2 doors down, actually, on the second floor, is this house. This house has probably 3 or 4 double door sets on the second floor coming out to the wraparound deck. The decks, multiple windows. Again, it's so dramatically more than what we're asking. The owners need to have there's only 3 locations for the door. We've already backed off of the double door in the middle, which we actually thought was the nicest proportion for the house to create sort of a balance, but you don't have to have that. Where that one door goes is sort of critical. The owners would like to keep the one door over the front door, Dawn. This drawing shows it, just so you have a reference, it shows it shifted to the middle of the room. But they say in the letter that they would actually like to have it, as we proposed in the last presentation, over the front door. In terms of the second floor deck, the first floor deck on the left-hand side, and Grant Point being, an area that has raised elevation, the fact that there is no backyard in this to this property, the fact that they're going to use this deck area as their outdoor space, they're moving towards, they're probably in their early 60s, mid-60s. The idea that they're going to be taking food down a series of steps to hang out is just not, it's sort of impractical, and it's not their preference to do that, to have a nice area to sit outside. What I want to bring to your attention is directly across the street, when is a deck that's raised up at the same level as we're proposing. It's even closer to the street than we're proposing by probably about 15 feet. It has no buffer in front of it at all, and it has a pergola over it. So the owners don't understand why something like that, would be allowed.
It may not have been allowed. The pergola may not have been allowed. I don't recognize that at all. So don't move on from there. You get better examples over here.
Well, this is what's across the street. And and again, we've done a rendering of and we could also come back with a planning plan with trees and bushes that could show, how we could buffer, that first floor deck from the road substantially, through high privet, through trees. We have the room to do it.
How far out is this status?
They have a letter they want me to read in conjunction, which basically responds to everything I've said. If you guys have issues, I've submitted it with this package.
Is it already in?
Uh-huh.
Okay. How deep is, let me just get rid of it. It wasn't the fact that you had a side deck, it was the fact that it was too wide. It hangs out too far.
It's not couched in like a lot of the other.
If it dropped down, which it can because it doesn't count for floodplain, you can walk. What we did with something the other day is we came off the deck that's against the house and they stepped down, so the deck lowered. The deck doesn't have to be at the same height as the first floor.
Well, it
is 14 feet.
It could be one step down, but that's the idea of like going 3 steps down. If you're carrying food out or something, it's just a huge stumbling.
Okay, don't go to the food because we don't care. But it's the issue of how far it is in the air It's the issue of the fact that it's too wide to be that high in the air. Dawn?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's got to be at least 15
14
more
feet.
out from
14.
the deck itself, or all
Yeah.
the way up from the wall. It's even
14
more.
here and probably 4 feet
So
here.
it's like almost 20 feet out, and that's a problem. It's not couched into anything. It could be longer and shorter sticking out.
Well, it's in the nook of the, if you go to the floor plan,
It's very easy to see it on the site plan.
what if we were to bring it in, let's say 4 feet,
And then drop
And
it.
drop it down one step.
one step?
That would help.
That would help for me, too. Anything else on the building concern?
I definitely prefer the door where you moved it to, so that it's not directly over the front door. My preference would be for it to be all the way over
Yeah,
here,
I
but
can
I know
make that
there's
work.
something interior that's
Yeah.
driving it. And if that works, that I think satisfies my concern. And on those AC units, can you put lattice around that?
Where are they?
They are in the back, but I don't know if there's any
Yeah, we can
use
get a
from
lattice around it.
neighboring properties at all. I'd just love
Yep.
to see those screened
And
a
that
little
is,
more.
what elevation is that?
On
on
the
the
south.
So. Okay, let me go to John. So I've got one other thing that you're not quite well versed with, but you can't do it there. John?
I got a comment, I think it looks fine, the changes look nice, they all tie in together, and the deck itself, looking at this site plan, you're only gonna see 6 feet of the deck. So, I don't think you have anything to do with it.
Thank you.
Visually.
Okay. We have a majority over here. The other thing that you're doing that we don't do down there is we don't carry the shingle course down. The shingle course stops at the bottom of the first floor. So you can carry the lattice all the way up. We don't do this. We stop it at the first floor.
Oh, so you'll have...
It's easier over here. So it's clear, because what happened is these things look like they're all floating in the air. We don't do that. We leave the shingles right where they are, right here and right here.
That's fine.
And then you vertical board or you lattice the foundation. Which is it? You've got lattice here.
Yeah, I think the existing is like that, so I kept it like that, but that's,
Well, now that you have to come up for floodplain.
yeah.
So you've got to lattice it, or you've got to board it, or what are you doing? Is the rest of it arched right now? But that's not going to work for floodplain.
We'll lattice it,
Okay. Vertical and horizontal lattice.
yeah.
And that's one, what is that, David? Is that 1.5 inch, 1 1/2 inch?
I'm sorry.
I always forget, the lattice, is that 1.5 inch?
It's probably 1.5 lattice, and 1.5 hole, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, the hole, which is standard lattice.
Yeah.
Okay, Dawn, the motion would be then drop 4 feet off the deck, narrow it down to, that would be 10 feet at the widest. Drop down a step, correct?
Yes.
And then the lattice around the foundation and leave the shingles at the first floor. And the AC units are going to be circled by lattice. Natural weather, all natural weather. Is that it, your motion?
Yes.
Okay, Dawn's made a motion to drop 4 feet off the width of the deck on the east, is that east, Luke? East side. And drop it down a foot, and the
One
lattice.
step, so
One
it's
step,
like, it's like
one step.
7 inches.
Yeah, 1 step, 8 inches
I think 7 inches is like maximum coming out the door.
off the threshold.
Yeah, that's all right.
And then lattice around the foundation, leave the shingles at the first floor, bottom of the first floor, top of foundation. And lattice around, natural weather around the AC units on the south elevation. All those in favor? Dawn?
Yes, I.
That's unanimous. And that's through staff. Dawn, you gotta-
Sorry, no, I'm sorry. I'm in the middle of mentioning 9,000 things that are time sensitive.
Okay, Via Vi.
11 Crooked. It is Williams, McLaughlin, and Barnum.
I think what he's doing is he's holding, we'll just hold and see if he comes, because they may be withdrawing it.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to hold on to Via Vi, John. And who was that, did you say? Is Linda, John, David?
And Barnum.
Okay. Ron Kaplan?
Colbert.
We have to hold it until he gets there. We're not touching that.
Oh, they're not here.
No. Who's on?
Williams, Hill, Holgate, McLaughlin, Coombs, and Kemp.
Okay, no David. Okay. Okay, previous concerns on that one.
Sure.
Yeah,
So,
Hold on.
So NACR survey listed as contributing and built in 1900. The HSAB had no comment. It would be okay as long as all the windows are wood. Window 21 is a vinyl clad window, no, it should be wood. Window 22 would be better as divided picture window. Anything is better than triple track storms. We'd like to see a little more detail about the condition of the original windows. There are 3 casement style windows in the south elevation that should be changed to match the rest of the house. On the north elevation, there's 6 lights, and the dormer would be 3/3 double.
Go.
So we made those changes, and I think they're actually great improvements. The existing, later casement windows. We did find there is a manufacturer. Marvin makes a narrow muntin,
A Nantucket one.
and it's all wood, and it does not require triple track storm.
For the record, it's because Terry's not here.
Yeah.
Matt McEachern from Emeritus.
Yep. So it'll be a wood window, no storm, with the Nantucket profile. And we
Would
made.
you put something on in the winter, though?
I don't know
on
if
the
they
water
would or
side?
not. I would leave that to the
They usually
caretaker.
do.
But as far as the manufacturer's
Probably.
concerned,
So that the wood doesn't deteriorate.
I was a little surprised by it, but the
No, they
contractor
used to
gave
put
us a
storm
spec.
they used to put storm sashes on these things on that house. Like they were almost beadboard.
I'm sure they'll do something in the wintertime, but as far as, I specifically asked.
There won't be something up year round.
No. No, not year round. And then we made, I actually think that the light division on the dormers, we added a row of transoms.
Which one are we looking at?
Do you look at the north elevation? Do you have?
We just have these little ones.
No, here. So the previous incarnation had, those are basically the oversized 6 lights. It just looks strange.
What's in there right now?
It's a 6 light.
Yeah,
Casement?
here. It's that,
Yeah.
and it's going to this, which it looks better.
But they're still
definitely.
casements.
Yes.
Yeah, they've always been casements.
When you're matching this one. Okay.
Yeah, that, and actually that's, you don't want to actually consider that, but anyways, yeah. On the back, you can see, same thing to those.
More divisions.
And then
which
we
looks a lot
had the
better.
French doors, we emulated this existing style, the historic style on the first floor, because that was basically an 8 light that was approved. I think that works better. Then we added a row of divisions through the picture units.
Dawn?
No comment.
Okay,
I think this works.
give it to Diane.
Can I sort of put
There's a
this
plan
in?
inside there,
yeah.
Diane, you haven't seen. Dawn,
What
John's
about
already gone
Abby?
for Dawn. Dawn,
Abby's on this.
you okay? Abby?
I'm okay.
Okay, some thumbs up over there. Diane?
Right, it, with the little one and then to the big one, it looks good.
All right, what I'm going to want from you, Dawn, is a reason why we're allowing this. Motion, before we sign this? You got a reason why
We
we're
had
doing it?
extensive discussion last time,
Sure,
and
I
I
mean,
was
it's
okay
outside
with it,
the,
so
it's
I'm
outside
trying
the
to
OH,
refresher.
outside the OHD.
Right, but it's on an historic structure
It's on
that
a
has
treated
wood.
structure. They're being replaced like kind. So there's no actual difference in the exterior appearance. The location to the water, that some of the units have been later replacements.
Well, they look like good divided lines too.
Yeah.
They would, they're just
So
simulated on.
there'll be no
sides.
discernible difference from the exterior.
I think that they maintain the historic appearance of the house. They eliminate the windows being covered with triple tracks, and because they're outside the OHD, it's acceptable. This is also a 1900 structure and not an 1800s or 1700 structure.
20th century.
And it's some of the windows have already been replaced.
Okay, so that's your
That's my
motion,
motion.
based on that criteria?
Those factors.
Okay.
And the windows that they're being replaced with are wood and of the appropriate profile without storms.
I hate storms. Okay. So Dawn's made a motion to approve with those findings, which I'll type out for Terry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that was
All right.
unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay. Did we come in yet? No. All right. Hanley, just because the address was transposed, somebody make a motion to put 12 Westmore Farm Road instead of 21 Westmore Farm Road on the automatic view.
It's
So
listed as
moved.
12 on the
I got
agenda.
12.
Yeah, but it's
It
21
was
on
21
Tuesday.
on Tuesday's
I
agenda.
see.
It was getting late when we were doing
So
it.
moved.
Dawn's made a motion to approve to put Old Westmore Farm on the view list and the polls to be worked out through the chairman, right? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Turn it over. Here we go. But you guys didn't think we were going to get there. EK Associates, Mr. Mayor Birkin.
I only have 3 plans.
This will be real quick.
We only have 3 plans over there. Fix that.
He doesn't care about the 4th.
I don't care about the fourth, then I'll be adding that on the revision. Because we already know where this is going.
Yes, we do. This, Dawn, will look the one we like the one we just worked on for 6 months. Open it. So go look at what we did to Matt's, because that's where we ended up.
All right.
Show him your cabana.
I know, this is a little different layout.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks.
Okay, Brooke, go for it.
Cabana bed structure, 15 Blackfish Lane. Structure is located to the rear of the main house and the garage, and also abuts Plainfield. So there's definitely a certain amount of screening.
This faces Plainfield, the gable side. Yes.
No, the
No, this place is Plainfield.
yes, that's Plainfield.
Okay, sorry.
This part faces the neighbors, whoever's going to be building there. But then you've got the garage and the house that's basically blocking the whole structure.
It needs to be turned towards Plainfield, so the gable's towards Plainfield. That's what I.
Don't show chairs and don't show
Yeah.
TV next time.
It's having that open bar towards Plainfield that I'm concerned with.
No, it's
If that
not.
gable
It's,
faced.
no, it's not facing,
Yes.
Well, see,
well, sideways.
one of the problems
Straight
here,
into it.
Brooke, is that you don't show us where the road is
Yeah,
on the plan, do
Plainfield
we?
is back here.
So this is black, whatever.
But there's
it is,
houses
right?
here.
Yeah, but can't you put it, you can't rotate it? Or close this side of it?
Yeah, I can close that side.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
Is whatever goes towards the road that's not blocked out by the house.
Yep, I can close that side.
We don't want people to be able to see the columns and the open bar area
Yeah.
from Plainfield.
TV and the stools and the da-da-da-da-da.
So motion to hold for revisions.
He knows where to go. This kind of
John
twice
has
out.
something to say, but
John,
we want to revise that, John.
this is also too tall, Brooke.
Yes.
This has got to come down. It's the opening is too tall.
Yep.
So if you have to have an overhang,
Yeah,
over, but it's
I-
got to come down.
Yep.
John,
That relation to
6 feet?
Where is it in relation to this?
Well, it would be right here. It's not shown on these.
This is solid gold fence.
Yes.
Where does it just fall?
Yeah. It's an outdoor
It's
shower.
outside of this.
Yes, it's an outdoor shower.
He's going to hold for revisions, John.
So which way are we turning it?
We're not turning it.
Don't worry about it. We're not sure what he's doing. He's coming back.
We're going to screen the side that opens towards Plainfield, which was Dawn's primary concern.
Which side, is that south? No.
North.
Southish.
North? South? No, south is Blackfish, north is Plainfield.
North is Plainfield, yeah, that's...
Yeah.
The north arrow indicates that the backyard is on the northeast boundary.
Let's just
Well,
hold
here's
for revisions.
Blackfish
There's
right
a lot
there.
of corrections that need to be made on this. And I know what they are, I just had to get
Yeah,
some.
and your arrow's
Have
wrong.
you given some thought to the roof pitch?
I'd be happy to make it shallower.
Yes, you would
Yeah.
be. And lower it, yes.
Are we all going to
He's
get a
got it.
chance
He
to-
knows
I
what
know
to do.
progress.
I already slapped him for it last
I'm
week.
trying to meet someone at the bus. Let's just, okay.
All right.
Motion to hold for revision.
Thank you.
Dawn's made a motion to hold for revisions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Knutson. Luke, what happened to...
Or no, 9 Pleasant.
Oh, we did it already, right? We did it already. Never mind. The one on North Otis. Knutson.
9 Pleasant, the HSAB had no concerns due to lack of visibility.
You can't see it, but I know there's a circle. Representing the applicant? John needs it. Diane?
Existing structure that you're putting doors, new doors and windows on, and the pergola.
The pergola was the only thing I had a concern with. Is it natural to weather?
Yeah.
Okay. John?
I'm okay.
John, it's just the pergola
And the doors.
and the doors and a window. It's an existing structure.
Two windows.
They're true divided light, right?
Yeah.
Any concerns, John? Hold it up.
Motion to approve.
Hold on.
True divided light, natural weather for.
David, Diane, any concerns?
No.
Katie, on the application, does it say natural to weather?
For the deck?
The pergola.
Why are there so many
pergola.
microphones on this table?
Natural cedar, pergola added,
I can't even
doors added.
throw the plant.
Yes? Steve Lindsay.
At the very, very bottom.
Steve Lindsay.
It should say pergola or fence, whatever, natural to weather.
Deck, trim, and sidewalk are natural.
You need to go down there and put natural to weather pergola.
I
Dawn's made a motion to approve with the natural to weather pergola.
can do one more and then I'm going.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Then I have to go.
All right, that was unanimous.
Why don't we move forward the new dwelling at number 4 so that it will have a more
I'm not
substantial
gonna sit
border?
on that.
Oh, you're not going to?
No,
I
so
have
just
I
keep
have a
going.
current contract.
Sullivan.
Shouldn't be using something as weighty as that.
17 Pine Street.
Yep.
Steve Thoreau, Nantucket Architecture Group.
The only reason this wasn't on consent is because it peeks out from the side of the house.
It peeks out from the side of the house that's 30 feet away by 10 inches, when in fact, Pine and School Street has 2 outdoor showers that are visible.
And we probably didn't approve
See
those.
it? Yeah, you did.
I have a solution.
Hang on.
Yep. What's your solution?
Wait a minute. Can you finish?
I'm not going to approve it. I want to hang it.
It's really easy.
Across the street.
No,
I don't care.
I wanted you to enclose the AC units
Oh, that's Lindsay's job.
so that it
Yeah, that's Lindsay's
yeah,
job.
but they can abut so it all looks like one fence.
Right.
Right.
I think we already said that to Lindsay.
Said
did.
that.
So then the outdoor shower will be masked that it hangs out.
So you want to Lindsay to build a 6-foot.
Not 6 feet. Oh,
Yeah,
that's right, the shower is 6
So
feet.
the shower wall is 6 feet.
That's what I was thinking, is that it could all be one.
John has pictures of across the street.
Or
and everything
even
else.
if this part's 4 feet, but it abuts, it just won't be that.
I don't care about
Yeah.
those houses.
It
I
won't
do.
be as noticeable, Linda. If this fence abuts it, even if this fence is 4 feet instead.
Oh, true.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Steve, do a 4-foot board around this up to the shower, which you can have Lindsay build.
It's
Just
all
make
natural
this
weather.
4, but it abut it up to the 6 foot of the shower. It'll just go up.
Yeah, we can do that, but tell Lindsay to do that on his plan.
Yeah, we already told them.
And then approve my shower as it is,
Well,
because that's what it is.
No, we'll approve your shower through staff with that change, and you can have Lindsay build
And
it.
that they're
These are two
integrated.
separate applications.
I know, it's going to be integrated with the existing required fence that we made him put in.
You guys are using the exact same site plan.
I know we are.
You just want them to, you need them to match.
All right, that's Dawn's solution. David,
I don't know if everybody agrees.
I have no comment.
you agree?
I have no comment.
Okay, figured. John's already folding. Diane?
So we're going to do a 4-foot around the AC and then pop it up to a 6-foot for
Yeah,
the
it's going to
outdoor
attach
shower.
to the shower.
And it's going to be
All
left
natural.
natural.
Vertical board,
No cap. Well, no
no
lattice.
foofy, no lattice,
Poofy.
no foofy. All right, John's made that motion with a 4-foot vertical board, natural to weather fence around the AC units that will connect to the shower in this application. It will be a 6-foot natural to weather fence. So they'll all butt into each other. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there you go.
Thank
You
you.
haven't approved the rest of the stuff though, right? In Tuesday? The driveway?
No, he's still hanging out with that driveway.
He's coming back. I told Lindsay to speak with Diane at the
It's not up yet. I
DPW.
told them they were going to
Yeah.
check us.
Okay, because they have
Say one
a
more then.
25-foot
you
minimum
want to
requirement from the corner
All right,
of the street.
we've got to go.
So,
Drescher.
thank you.
31 Somerset?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gone.
No, stay for this one.
No, I can't sit on this one. I have a conflict.
Oh. Okay,
Need that.
all right. So there's only 4 of us on it. John, Diane, Abby, and Linda. So we're down to 4. Just keep that in mind, everybody. Carrie, go.
Okay,
Because we've not seen this yet, correct?
right, you did not hold for viewing, maybe because people are familiar with Somerset Lane.
Is Carrie Thornwell for the record?
Oh, yes,
All right. Let the record reflect that Dawn is leaving at 1:40. I'll talk to you later. Okay, go.
okay, it's a pretty straightforward 1.5-story house. It's kind of pseudo-Victorian wraparound porch, 2/2 windows, pretty high pitch roof of 10.
Which lot is this?
It's 31 Somerset. There's a house in the back now. Do you,
I think we've mentioned before that when you do put them in black and white, we have no clue where the lot is.
oh, I'm sorry.
You guys have got to do it in dark. Yeah,
30.
because this driveway is not that driveway.
Yeah, it's, oh, geez.
Yeah.
Well, it is this one, but this is that right?
That's what I'm telling you.
The parents' house?
No.
Yeah, it's halfway down.
Halfway down.
Yeah, oh my God.
You see, that's why we're having a problem with this. I
Yeah.
have no clue where it was.
Well, it's sort of midway down in all the trees. The whole road is covered in trees until you get to the actual Glidden's house and it's cleared.
Then that's
So
not the right side of the road.
halfway-
It's
it
on
is.
this
It's
side
on
of
the
the road.
right-hand side.
This is Bartlett's.
Oh,
It
geez,
backs
so
up
then
to
I can tell you
Bartlett's.
which one it is. I think. Oh, yeah. Oops, sorry. This one, and they use this driveway. We're proposing a new driveway.
Which, no.
31 Somerset Lane is the
Oh,
next
oh,
driveway
it's-
to
yes.
27, which would
It's
make
the
it
big
the second lot
It's
going
this
up.
one, and this is the existing house, and this is a
Do
garage.
you see that?
This driveway
That's
here is
27.
actually
And this is 31.
So did they
see
subdivide
31
this?
right
It's a
here.
big lot.
It's subdivided already
Oh, okay.
because there's
So
like-
it does this?
Nope, it does this. And this driveway is what these people use now.
And who's,
This property uses this now. This is a Bartlett property.
so this is the one
So
we're
this
talking
is
about.
the
Show
property.
John
I
which
will.
one we're talking about, because
Thank you.
this lot doesn't even look that way.
Yeah.
So it has been subdivided from the big
This
lot.
and the property line is here. So it's this big one here. And our house goes for about here somewhere. Do you see?
Thank you.
And you don't have any idea, any
right here.
pictures of the
Yes,
existing
you
house?
got it. And the property line is like here.
Right.
And our house is proposing here. We'd like to
But
have our
is
own
this-
little driveway. They use a common driveway now.
That does both of them, because
That-
it's not a Bartlett house
Yep.
too. And this one is also, right?
Right.
31.
Yeah, but now it's Freshers.
All right,
And we're
question for you over there.
driveway.
Show Abby. Question, what's happening to the existing house?
It will be moved eventually.
Where?
Don't know yet.
Off.
Right now, we're going to have a second dwelling permit,
We don't have any
and it eventually will be.
pictures of the existing structure, so we can't do that. We don't know how tall the existing structure
Well, the
is.
new house will totally hide the new existing structure. The existing structure is like a one-story little cave.
In the back.
And this house, yeah, this house will hide it.
Well, how
But it
tall is
eventually
the
will be
existing
gone.
house? We don't have it, we have nothing in here telling us it's going to be gone.
I didn't really realize you'd need it.
Well, we need to match them at the moment. If it doesn't leave, that's the problem. I can't have 6/6s and 2/2s, if you catch my drift.
Oh, but it is leaving. I mean,
We
they're
have
not
no,
keeping
we
it.
can't go
It's
there.
6/6, and it's like a little,
How tall is it?
not a good. It's probably 23 feet. This house is 28 feet.
Do you understand why we're having
I
trouble?
do.
Because it doesn't mean
I'm
it's
sorry.
leaving. It doesn't, anybody in the room, future reference, if you are coming in for a structure on a lot that has other structures on the lot, we expect the pictures of the existing structure.
Yeah, because the
And
intention
the height.
is for it not to
This
be
is the
there,
second
so
time
it
this week we've had this issue,
won't- Sorry.
because now you got 2/2s.
Right, which is appropriate for this house, but the other house definitely has 6/6s.
John,
I think it's a good look. If you see all the windows are the same, I have no problem with it. You haven't got 6/6 on one side, yeah, it's all the same.
Right, it's on the cottage that exists on the
Very
property.
the existing house has 6/6.
Yeah, it's a very harmonious house for itself and for its size. I think the details are all fine in the whole thing.
It's not going to be white.
It's not?
Nope. You're going with a farmhouse 2/2s,
Are there any colors that you would?
and you got an exterior
appropriate?
chicken,
Chicken?
chicken, we got chickens there. You got an exterior
No, they're right
chimney.
there. That is very invisible from the
see
street.
that.
It's way behind everything.
All right, Abby, you didn't have anything to add?
No, I lived across the street last summer from this location, and I lived in a house that looked very similar to this.
Oh, yeah?
The landscape person. I think it's appropriate for the
Sidelights are
neighborhood.
bizarre.
I don't have a problem with white either.
Side lights aren't right. Diane? We'll do something else.
Have you got a cobblestone finish
No, it's all white.
on the chimney?
On the chimney, yes, they'd like to do cobblestone. If we can't do cobblestone, could we
Cobblestone.
do part?
Physically cobblestone?
Yeah,
No.
I don't see that. Can I finish
Go.
first? I wouldn't do that. The side lights on the main door are
And that's on the
On
east
the-
elevation.
east elevation. I don't think are right. I think the windows are on the north elevation, on the gable. Those double windows on the second floor. Is there a wall or something inside that goes
Yeah,
through so
that
those
separates
can't be split a little bit?
Well, they are split a little bit. They're split about a shingle.
I
They're
see they're split, but I meant
even more?
sort of
They would look
enough
weird.
so that they were the same distance in between the middle two for the side two. If they could move over.
I don't know, what are you talking about, Diane?
You got two windows
On the east
Evenly
still?
spaced them all.
on the north elevation, on the gable.
Hold on, I
You
haven't
have
gotten-
4 windows on the second floor. I would like to see them evenly spaced across the top.
Okay, I can figure
And I
that
would
out.
like to see the 3 windows below centered under one of them so that those windows spread somewhat evenly. Right now, they're offset.
I take it that's the kitchen.
Right, yeah.
There might not be a lot of flexibility there.
Where you could move them 6 inches, so just to make them come up. And I said the chimney, and I think the E window in the little gable on the west elevation should be a little smaller. Or the windows the same shape as the two over-twos below it.
Top sash
Yeah, just the top
No.
sash.
of the C window, top
But
sash.
still a 4 light?
No.
No, it would be a
Top sash,
2 light.
C
2
window.
light.
Yeah,
Okay.
of the C.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else, Diane, for the
No, I
moment?
think that's,
What are the colors?
For
The,
I've got white.
The roof,
the roof,
middle of the page.
it doesn't have colors.
Excuse me.
Dual gray, yeah, I've got dual gray.
Architecturals or threes?
Architecturals.
I don't think architecturals are appropriate on this house.
I think you could do a arch chimney,
Yeah, that's
and
Yeah.
and I think you could do a black 3.
black 3 down.
black tab.
Yeah,
I don't mind dual gray. We use it all the time, charcoal and dual gray. It's just that I would rather be 3-tab charcoal or dual gray on this particular design.
but not architectural.
Right, not architectural. I'm going to second what Diane had to say. The side lights have got to have a panel, and they got to be 2 light, and they got to be halfway up.
They need to be a little wider too.
No,
Those
right
are
here,
really
yeah.
skinny.
Right here.
Yeah,
And
I
then you just
agree.
have 2 lights.
They'll just
vertical.
match the panel.
Match the panes of the seat.
Okay.
And I agree with everything else, plus you have to show the basement access, which you're not showing, because we have no idea which direction it's coming from.
I'm not showing it.
You're just showing a railing for a random
gonna show
railing.
it going
You have to show
underground?
the dotted thing coming down, so we know which way they're coming from.
It's coming from the back of the lot.
It's not going that way, so write it, show it on the plan. It's coming from the front, and I don't think you can get
No,
into
it's
it.
coming from the back. This is the front of the house. It's going down that way.
Okay, so just show it on the drawing. So Diane, you've made a motion to hold for revisions, right?
Yes, please.
Diane's made a motion to hold for revisions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
You need it on the elevation window?
On the floor plan and the elevation. Yeah, floor plan, we already have it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Hummock Pond Road Associates, what? Hummock Pond Road, is he here? No, and he needs to explain it, so we'll go past that. Julia Marash? Didn't have to get up at all.
Good exercise, I suppose.
And all that's remaining in the room at the moment are John McLaughlin for the tape, John McLaughlin, Diane Coombs, Abby Camp, and Linda Williams, so we're sitting on all the new business at the moment.
18A gray.
John is not on this?
No, we're all on it.
This is a new one.
These are all new. Okey dokey. Representing the applicant,
Carrie Thornhill.
go.
It's just a 5-bay on an open site. We have a little side piece that I've lowered the plate so it steps down a little bit from the main
You designed
mast.
this. This is not honey.
No, it's not Huntington. It's pretty straightforward. Gables are on the side and the back. There's 6/6s all over, except 8/8s on the front because I thought it was more proportionate. So we
No, what you should have done is
From
added
eight.
another 6/6, so it's not an extended 4-bay or 3-bay, it's actually a 5-bay. It's too wide.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a plan. But I think the proportion is good on those 8/8s.
All right, Diane,
That's just nice.
leave it.
That's a kitchen.
Except you gotta go vertical.
Um,
See how your planes are vertical? The sashes are horizontal. Where did you go?
The chase line.
What happened?
It was not open because there was defective notice to the abutters.
Who didn't get noticed? Out of 120 people.
People immediately in back.
This is, just so you know, it's the second one. Did they mention that down there? It's the second one on this meeting that happened to. They left off the immediate abutters. Second one. Ed Lemberg had to go over because they left off that too. I don't know what's going on down there.
Should I know what that's all about?
No, we both had to go downstairs for a ZBA hearing
Oh.
while we're doing this,
Okay, no.
and apparently they put it over.
I thought you were going to look at the house.
All right, David, come on back in, we just started.
Okay, what is the address? Where are we?
We're on Gray Avenue.
And
Let the record reflect that David Barham is on Gray Avenue.
is it property joined
Subdivided?
to 18, or is it been
It's been
divided
subdivided,
so it doesn't have to look like the house next door?
right.
Two lot subdivision?
It's the existing and then a new one.
The two lot subdivision.
Yeah. And there's a house on the other one.
The
There's
planting
already a
over the
house.
front door, I don't know, did it should have 4 lights across the top of it?
Yeah, we wanted to do a little transom above it.
Right. I just,
Oh, you want to see it in the door instead?
Well, don't go back and forth, everybody, because then we're going to slow down again.
yeah, I don't know.
We'll wait and see what everybody else
But
says.
it doesn't do that, and it's a 4 bay. And how tall is it?
It's 28.
I don't think there's anything else there.
There's nothing much.
It's
a very simple house.
I know every house over there. I think the highest is 26 across from you. And the other ones are ranches. Unfortunately. David, are you familiar with that part of Gray Avenue? They're not 28 feet.
No.
And there's a lot of window wells on the street, right on the
What's the
street.
floor on the first floor, second floor?
It's 8 feet and a 7-foot outside plate.
Yeah, it's not very tall. There's just too much room. And if you notice, they did 8 over 8s on the front and 6 over 6s everywhere else to take up the space that there should have another window in as a 5 bay.
Well, it's 36 feet wide. So 5 bay would, I think, would be too many on a 36 wide.
I think so too.
There's a lot of wall space.
But I don't think it's atypical.
You know, I think it's plausible additive massing. You would have had an earlier main building that had the 8 over 8s, and then you had a later that had 6 over 6s. I don't think that's a disqualifier.
Yeah, I was just looking at how much blank wall there was, especially when you add the 2 windows on the left with a whole lot of wall. But all right, David, keep going.
You know, I find, you know, except for the height, I have very few concerns about this. I'm eager to hear other thoughts, but at first glance, I think it's quiet, modest, simple massing.
Do you have an issue with the 4 huge window wells right on the street, which nobody else has?
I would prefer not to have them, I must say. I have no objection to window wells. I prefer they were not on the front of the house.
Could we do just come in and park
Don't keep
around?
going back and forth. Let everybody go first.
Particularly
Slow this way
insofar
down.
as I've got some concern about the driveway going off in 2 directions. Parking space for 2 in front of the house, and then tandem parking along the side of the house.
They have plenty of space to come into the back and not do that.
I think that, you know, if you've got people getting out of cars right in front of those window wells, and that also means that area is clear a lot of the time. It doesn't lend itself easily to planting being planted out.
I can get rid of the window wells. Can I keep one on the, oh, please.
They've got plenty of room to come right around the back. Are they sharing this driveway with the lot that got subdivided from it? Is the driveway getting shared?
No.
I don't want to establish that, David, nobody parks in front of the houses on Gray. I don't want to establish that as a
Okay.
pattern.
I think that's preferable.
So you want to pull the driveway
Around. Or
around
wherever-
back?
Wherever you want to go in the back.
Well, there's only sort of right in front of the deck.
No, I got room all the way back here. Parking can be in the setback.
see it.
Anything else, David?
No,
Where are you going to move the parking to?
Back.
back or side.
I don't
Back
know.
where the deck, where that deck is?
Or farther back.
They're probably going to build a garage or something.
At some point, they wouldn't mind building something else.
Yeah,
But
guys.
the parking on the front.
Nobody does that there. It shouldn't
Okay.
be started now. You're also, your site plan doesn't show your window wells at all on the front.
No, you're right, they don't.
Abby?
Okay, so, on the front of the house, I was wondering if the windows could be a little more vertical looking, they seem a little horizontal. There's a C in the back that I think has a good proportion for the house. It's a little more elongated. And I think the front door should be, just have a simple formal trim around the front door. You know, kind of whatever, what you would
Guys,
see on that.
come on.
What, on that kind of house.
They're going to do plank frame windows, so I think doing some sort of.
Make it a little wide.
I'm just looking, you know, the transom across the top.
Wants it to be wider.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just talking about something simple,
Yeah.
classic.
Diane?
I think the front door needs to be enlarged a little bit to trim or whatever. It's tall and narrow with the transom. And it needs to be a little bit more proportioned. I don't mind the 8/8. And if you could drop the little wing here somewhat and make it a little more average massing, I would like to see that. I do think on that part of Gray Avenue, the houses are not a more one-story stretched out than 28 feet tall.
John?
My only comment is on the east elevation, there's a shop on the first floor. And this looks like a shower unit. How is it hinged?
They're swinging doors. I don't.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, that it was a big shower, but it's,
Yeah,
you have
no,
no hinges, no
there's-
nothing.
There's just swinging board doors.
Some kind of
like
hinge
that
on it.
for
We have no idea.
Okay.
We have no clue.
I would.
I like
Okay.
it too, though.
I got it, John. Thank you.
All right.
I think it's appropriate, thank you.
I agree with John, you need to show some hinges there so people know what it is, because I thought it was a garage at first. The hinges are not on the outside. The hinges are on the inside.
Okay, then I
Your
don't have to
door
show 'em.
handles.
I don't get it. Do I want to show them or not?
You want to show the hardware, the door hardware, because they had no idea what
I
that
can
was.
put the little.
Number one, number two, it's too tall.
I don't know what the hell to do about that. Can I change the pitch to a 7? Would you
Nope.
approve a 7?
Nope.
Um,
I don't know why it has to be that tall. That close to the street. That's what I'm worried about, because this used to be one big lot. It's now subdivided, and if the guy comes in next door to you and wants to build a 28-foot high house, we're going to have two 28-foot high houses
So
in the
drop-
middle of a lot shorter houses. I think 1 or 2 feet out of it is good enough for me. I agree with beefing up the front door. I'm all right with the 8/8s. I'm not happy with them because the sashes are horizontal. But I know the neighborhood very well, clearly. So that's my issue there. And then the window wells on the road, figure out where else you want to put them. 1 or 2 maybe, but not 4 of that size.
yeah.
And you haven't identified what the grates are.
What the what's are?
The grates. Those are egress windows from what I gather.
On the other side they are.
Okay, then these can be small.
And there's railings. Yeah. These can just be basement sash.
Yeah,
Right?
but not 4.
No, get them off that side where the road is.
Somebody want to make a motion to hold for revisions?
So moved.
I don't care about the added massing still works, but
Okay.
to me. Diane's made a motion to hold for revisions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 21 New Street.
I only have 3 plans.
Representing?
Nathan McMullen for the applicant.
Okay. And it's Diane, John, Abby, David, and myself. Nathan, go. Anybody who remembers this. Some of us, Abby and I and Diane, I believe, were sitting on it when it came in for the windows and stuff. So what are you back for
And we
now?
apologize to come back so quickly for something you just weren't pleased to approve, but of course it has to match the permit.
I have to write your name.
And we are lowering, thank you, the roof back to where it was, leaving it, and the front and rear dormers. The front porch, we're extending from 4.5 feet to 7 feet still. And the slope on that porch is 3 and 12, but the current porch roof slope is also 3 and 12. The only other revisions at this time are that we're removing the HVAC condenser yard in the back and adding the 2 4.0 French doors with 2.0 side lights at the kitchen on the north elevation. I recognize that is unusual for configuration for French doors, but they would like them to fold back in the kitchen. And I would like to point out that that elevation cannot be seen from a public way, even the King Street extension. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, David. Ask about the porch.
What about the porch?
Was that original for the house, the porch was?
I don't know. I doubt it. It's probably early, but it's falling apart. It's pulling away. There are big gaps up there.
Yeah, but are you extending the porch?
We are rebuilding it.
But are you making it wider?
Deeper by 2.5 feet.
All right, that's what I wanted you to look at.
I'm sorry?
Deeper by
Deeper by
2.5
2.5 feet.
Which lowers the pitch, or is the pitch already at 3?
The pitch is already at 3.
Okay, so you're going from here?
And
right
so
here?
you're
here.
dropping that eave
From
by
here to here.
another 6 inches as
See
a
it?
result of extending.
We're actually keeping
right
the
here
eve
to
about the same.
Which elevation are you talking about?
We're looking at the east side because you can see it better. Where you can see where the dotted line is, where the porch is now, and where he's extending it to.
May I also say we do have an approval for an 8-foot porch.
And how far are you going now?
7.
Oh, all right, so you're actually making it smaller.
Yes,
Got
5
it.
foot.
I got it, because I thought there was some issue with it before.
I need to be brought up to speed a little bit. This 325 HDC approval that had 2 gable dormers.
Yes,
You're going to not act on that.
right.
This one single dormer with the 2 6/6s is resembles what's there.
68 addition is what's there.
Yeah.
Front and rear, yeah.
And you're leaving that now.
Now they
Okay.
are. Now they are.
We've battled over this for quite some time, right?
Boy, I really see that as
Yes, I do too.
extremely unfortunate.
But we can't force it.
Nor do I have the money.
This isn't your house.
Yes, no, it's not my house. I'm
But
just
you
saying
don't
I
have the
can't
money to
give it
work
to.
with.
Yes, but I agree. I wish I did. I think it was a better house.
Yeah. All right, so we're moving the deck back a foot. We're leaving the existing dormer, which you can't force them to take it out. What's on the next page? Why is the whole roof?
It's still that we're dropping it back to where it was.
Oh, okay, so they were going up before? Keep
All
the
right,
roof
so
where it is.
the bubbles reflect the change from the
Okay.
previous approval,
sir. That's
not the
correct.
current conditions.
Correct.
So this is what you're building, is what we're seeing now?
Correct.
Okay, so very little is actually changing.
That's
After
true.
all that Sturm and Drang.
Okay, so the hot tub is going away
And we appreciate
on
it.
the back.
It is.
Okay.
Oh, they ran out of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not mine. That was.
All right, so any concerns about what
No,
he is
it's-
doing?
Going back to
Is there
where it
any
was.
visibility for those 4 French doors
No,
across the
sir.
back?
There's
No,
not.
we already went there.
There's not.
Okay, all right.
Diane, any more concerns now that it's like not changing?
No, except I think the drawing that was done is better looking than that.
And you
Yes.
can tell him
Single.
that.
I will. I will be glad to.
We're happy with
I
what we
will.
did. Okay, John. Need a minute.
Perhaps they'll be back for it. Can live in hope.
Yeah. Keep holding. Anybody want to make a motion to approve? All right. Abby's
you
made a
very much.
motion to approve. All those in favor?
Aye. What do we
Do we need
do
to act
about
on
this letter?
determination?
No,
That was voted
we
on?
did it already.
Thank you.
Alrighty, because you motioned it and then left the room. Palmieri.
America is not here. That's where the applicant is.
Okay.
Do you want to?
Yeah, just throw it out because there was just a slight reason why that couldn't go on consent.
Okay, so the HSUP had some comments. 6 is too high, needs to be 5 only, and behind the trees on the lot. The fence should not be on the street.
Copper Lane, guys, but it's the one right on the corner that, remember, it got up and rotated, so it faces Copper Lane now. Remember this one? Had some one-story additions. Maybe 4 years ago, it picked up, it was rotated, so it faces Copper Lane now, as opposed to Quaker Road. And where I had the issue is that they're putting a full 6-foot board fence along Quaker Road that will then go around the corner and down the road on Copper Lane.
6 foot?
Yeah, and it always had a cap picket. I guess they don't like the
6
Quaker.
foot.
I guess they don't like the Quaker Road traffic. I wouldn't either.
Well, wasn't there quite a wrangle on this house about them wanting to do rather a sizable deck from the house toward Quaker Road?
This is what they had on Quaker Road, that fence that they have now.
Yeah. Which I imagine if they get their solid 6-foot fence would become invisible and if we would be seeing in short order.
Well, I assume it's behind the cedars that they planted to try to get some buffer from Quaker Road and all the traffic in the summer. That's where they want to put it, from the driveway around the corner up to here, where see this side of the driveway right here, David?
Yeah.
They want to go right to the edge of the driveway, right around the corner, and that's where I'm really having the problem.
Not only that, but that cuts into the view of somebody coming out of Copper Lane. And
Well, they already
walking.
got the trees there.
You can see around trees, a 6-foot fence you can't see around.
So it's pretty intense. That's why this didn't go anywhere fast. Abby?
Sounds too big.
John?
They got it existing, should be able to match it.
John, they don't have a 6-foot fence on Quaker going around the corner. They have a cap picket. And they want to go to a 6-foot fence on Quaker Road around the corner and up Copper Lane on the street.
Wait a minute, it doesn't say anything about 6 foot, it says to match.
The part that's going to match existing is the little picket fence return next to the driveway. The
Right.
part that's going to be a 6-foot fence is going to match what's in the back here. It's in the back of the property. They want to run it all the way down Quaker Road, around the corner, and up to the driveway. A 6-foot board fence. You see the piece in the back?
You know, is this on the application? Because it's not on the drawings.
Well, I believe it's on the application as to height, because they had it at the
All we
SAB.
have is,
Can I finish, please?
Yeah.
Go to the second, the first photo page, says Quaker Road. You look at the back of that house, there's a board fence coming between him and the neighbor behind him.
Right.
He wants to match it behind the bushes going around to the front. That's what the blue is. The blue, he wants to put it up there to continue it. Very, very little is going to be visible. And I think he should have the right to make that 6 foot up to only one point, not all the way over. Where the blue is, where it curves, you got to stop it right at where that 9.69 is on the plan. For the bound, they're stopping at the bound, but not carry it on Quaker, or Copper Lane. It should not be on Copper Lane.
I don't think it should make the turn.
Stop it at the,
I don't think it's,
I just think it's
I want to wait until John has finished his
yeah,
comments.
I'm saying, he has an existing, I don't want to see something like this go to an appeal. Because we're getting appealed all the time, and if you got most of it hidden there, and stops at that 666, he can run that picket fence, the rest of that blue. Where you see that 9.69 on the curve, on Copper Lane. 18.51.
The only-
He had, you know, to deny him that fence there, where most of it's not visible, there's very little visible down the piece on the corner. And I just think if he makes you got the, you got the picket up to one side of the driveway that curves in. So let it come out the other side where the fence, the gate is, curve it, run it down to the, whatever that is, SSM 5, and leave it there. Have a picket there. And I think the woman, you kicked in his butt because she already got one existing, you want to match it.
David, just so everybody knows.
Anyway, that's my opinion. So.
Down at the other end, where the corner is, where Main Street and Caton Circle is, we didn't give them a 6 foot, we gave them a 5 foot. But there's a 5 foot fence right at that intersection because those people were being driven crazy by that intersection. So we did allow them from their little garage. The garage has a 5 foot down Quaker and around the corner back towards where their picket picks up in front of their house. So we did allow that with them, and it's white. It was white. But I'm having trouble with this because of how close it, well, I don't know where to go with this. John's got a point because they have the cedar, and they did that for a reason.
So far, only John and you have been allowed to speak.
Go ahead. But that's why I didn't have anywhere to go with this.
You know, I don't want us to go any farther down the path that says it's okay to line Quaker Road with 6 foot solid board fences. When you buy on Quaker Road, you know what you're buying. And it has not been the policy of this HDC to allow people to erect solid 6 foot fences on street frontages. So the fact that he's got a 6 foot fence on his rear property line between him and another property owner is a different condition in my mind than putting a solid 6 foot board fence on a street frontage. And I don't think it's appropriate. I recognize that there has been some other fencing along that stretch of road that has been erected, I assume permitted. Nevertheless, I don't think that it establishes a good precedent or one that we ought to continue, because you don't have to look far down this road to imagine a circumstance where the road is lined with 6 foot high fences, and that is clearly destructive to the historic district and the character of the historic district that we're meant to uphold.
I'm just trying to get it all down. Does anybody, Diane, Abby, do you agree with that completely?
Yes.
Okay. I doubt anybody here has any problem with the cap picket.
No.
Okay. Then somebody want to make a motion to hold for representation?
Hold for representation
and revisions?
and revisions.
Diane's made a motion to hold for representation and revisions. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so that's revisions and rep. I warned her about this already. Fogarty.
It's also mirror code. Do you want to?
But emeritus. Where's Matt?
Okay, so the housekeeping to the pool.
Both of them.
Send them both out?
Yep. Because they're tied together. Oh, this has to go back to you. Diane, it had to go back. The plan, the one right in front of you.
This one?
Yep.
Goes back?
Isn't that Buffer Lane?
Yep.
And you have John's. And we need the garage, too.
Actually,
He's doing them both.
She's not here, so I don't know why. I'm going to text her, but.
She's missed all of hers.
Linda.
Thank you. I got it.
19 Master.
Diane, you got John's garage
Oh,
right
and the
there.
garage.
Diane, your garage is right there. Because they're all tied together. Go, Matt.
So this is an application for landscape, driveway, curb cut, pool.
Go to the garage first. He's going to go to the garage
Oh,
first.
do you guys have the garage plans?
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, it's a one-story garage. Try to keep it simple, match all the details from the house. Gray trim.
John, run the garage in your hands. The floor lights make no sense.
No.
No. You have 6 light windows, why do you have 4 lights? Of
Seemed
that totally
appropriately
different pane
sized.
size. David? Otherwise, it's very simple.
What's the road surface, Matt?
The road surface, I believe, is gravel.
Then I think cobble per acre is more appropriate than Belgian block.
You shouldn't have
looking
any,
at the,
you shouldn't have,
landscape?
we're going to look at the garage
We're
first,
looking at
David.
the garage, I think, first.
Because some of this is tied to the garage, so we got to go to the garage first. The reason why that wasn't on consent is because of the B windows, because they have no relationship to anything else on the building.
Matt, do you have any pictures of the house?
It's not built yet.
We already approved it
You
recently.
just approved it.
Remember, because he had the garage up here
Could I
before, and
talk
now
to Matt, please?
here.
I
Are the roofs on the main house 12 pitch?
Yes, they are.
And the window styles on the main house, do you have 4x4s on the main house like that?
We do actually,
Few.
Madam Chairman, if I could, there was actually some discussion on the second round of revisions. There was some discussion about the 4 light versus the 6/6, and there was a couple of instances where I think you guys actually felt that they weren't matching in terms of pane sizes, that proportionally they seemed to work, and that's what we did. But
Very few accent windows.
Madam Chairman, you're interrupting me
There you go.
repeatedly. I find it so annoying.
It's not giving you what you need.
I may cease to be on this commission if it doesn't stop.
Like you have, what, 72 hours left?
So what?
And then you're gone to Europe.
These B units, they look like, they're drawn like they're casements, is that right?
yes,
No.
I think that's problematic. And
yes.
I think that if they're 2/2s, the difference between the pane size on the B units and your A unit is too great.
Okay.
So I think you just need to do some massaging
Sure.
to get them a little bit closer together and to change those to double hungs.
Is that something through staff?
I think it could be done through staff.
We'll figure it out right now. Not right this second, but right now.
I'm just trying to think.
Abby?
No objections, I think it's a good design.
Diane? You know the property.
Yeah. No, if the main house, which I didn't remember, is a 12/12, then the garage should be 2.
It's not white.
I
No,
think
it's
the
gray.
12/12 is high for that.
You know what I could do is...
Don't talk yet.
All right.
You agree with David about those B windows?
Yes, I agree with what he has to say. And then
I'm just going to waste
if, how tall is the main house?
It's 20 by 28.9.
No, we beat the crap out of it, remember?
It's
You lowered
it's
it.
low, but the pitch is steep, so the ridge is high.
Right. And the garage is 19. It's, I don't know, it's just a little high for that part of Massaquoi. And the corner of North Shore, which is a 2-lane dirt being into the grass.
I believe that road right next to it is one that we've gotten rid of.
What, North Shore is there?
No, not Naushon. The one that's on where the garage is, which is the other side. It's the orange, which has no road front. So it's not on Naushon. We've already approved the cabana, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cabana's on Naushon, not the garage.
Right, the garage is on the other side. I didn't know there was a paper road there.
I think it's been removed.
Right now, when you look at it, it's just a piece of the countryside.
Okay. John?
No problem.
All right, I was wondering where the B windows in the first place. Do you have anything else you can do, like maybe the top sash, 3/3s? Would that work, David? I just think the B windows are oversized compared to the 6/6s too,
I could do a 3/3.
which makes it look weird.
May I make a suggestion, Madam Chairwoman?
Yes, quickly.
Because the B types are actually found in the main house in the gables only, right? And so maybe I just change all the first 4 B types to I could either go with a smaller 6/6 or a 6 light upper sash, whether it's a 3/3 double hung.
Then you're going to have 3 different types of windows on the same house.
You know, I think that Matt has got something going here that's nice, which is that the proportion of the A units is vertical and the proportion of the B units is also vertical. If you push them into 3/3, all of a sudden those go horizontal, and I think that the proportions are much less attractive. I think that for scale and size, that something close to what he's done
There should be 2/2.
is the right way to go.
2/2s. They should be 2/2s.
They should be 2/2s. They should be slightly less tall, by which I mean 2 to 3 inches, and maybe 2 inches narrower, which would be, it would leave them with a pane size still larger than the existing 6/6, but close enough that it didn't seem discordant.
So you're saying take the B and make it a 2/2?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, and make it slightly larger?
No. Reduce the overall height.
And width.
Reduce, can you make the, I would make the window panes in the B unit no taller than the window panes in the A unit. And I think that the window panes in the B unit could be 1 inch to 1.5 inches wider than the window panes in the A unit. You know, if it's just that.
I like your
too
first,
narrow.
it's too hard to explain that to Terry. I like your idea better. 2 inches shorter, 2 inches wide, shorter, 2 inches narrower. And they're 2/2s. I think that makes more sense. It's going to have a hell of a time trying to figure this out.
2 inches shorter, 2 inches narrower.
3 inches shorter, 2 inches narrower.
3 shorter.
Yeah.
3 shorter, 2 inches narrower.
I can name that tune in 2 notes.
Nice.
Okay.
I love that.
So 3 inches shorter, 2 inches less wide,
Yeah.
and
narrower.
2/2s.
As a double hung.
Yeah,
Yep.
double hung. Is that it? Is that your motion?
It is.
David's made a motion to approve through staff. The B windows being 3 inches shorter and 2 inches less wide and become double hung 2/2s. And that's through staff. Any further discussion? Oh, wait, I need the landscaping one back. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that was unanimous.
Madam Chairwoman,
What do you want?
Mirka, I just contacted her. She actually has been delayed, and she said she could be here shortly. She asked if she could have her agenda
hold it.
items put up to the end of the agenda.
We're just going to hold it. We've got 2. We're going to hold it.
Okay.
All right, we're going to hold these, John, until America gets here. So we're holding number 9. We're going to number 11 now, and that was a unanimous vote.
How about number 9?
I just said we're holding it till she gets here. She's on her way.
Oh, okay, I
He wasn't going to do hers. He's going to wait for her to get here.
In fact, I think I could if she wasn't going to come. But she's
He could be the landscaper for the moment, but that's not his field of expertise.
out of my wheelhouse.
So we're going to number 11, Mount Vernon. Representing the applicant.
Matthew McCracken.
Okay.
21 Broad.
21 Broad.
Can I have that, Diane?
This is the one we're holding.
I'll put it in the...
Yeah, we're not holding it.
I know.
She's got it
I
under
just was
control.
going to keep it. I didn't know she wanted it. Matt, can I tell you, I think Happy Intelligence is coming out very nice.
Yeah, it looks good.
Thank you. I have to thank the
And
board
the OCC meeting coming
for
back in about an hour.
working with me. So thank you.
All right, let's move it.
All right, so basically, we got the ramp approved, and we got it approved as natural. And
So I asked.
what's that? We wanted to paint it gray.
Sandy gray is the clapboard?
Let me just see here. It's actually, it's a slightly lighter shade than
Nope.
clapboard. It's a lighter shade. There's actually a little bit of a contrast. We've got the clapboard, which is, what number is that?
It is.
We could do either one, David. It doesn't really
It's
matter.
Rockport Gray, I believe.
I think there's no, it's not a feature of the building that flatters it, so I
No.
wouldn't do anything to draw attention to it.
Right. But we were thinking, the whole idea is just so that it looks
It
finished.
wouldn't.
I actually prefer to see it painted if anybody's interested.
I'm
I
adding
think
HTC
that
media, I can't
the
type.
natural to weather on this, because it's so elaborate, and so, I mean, it's Victorian, you
Yeah.
don't see natural to weather with that.
Yeah, so the gray, we just wanted to paint it gray, so it looks finished.
I don't want to like gray.
Each had some concerns.
Yep.
These are an odd color combo for Victorian. The color plan is confusing with no guidance. Was the door approved as glacier?
Yes,
Yep.
with blue detailing.
That's it.
David, it's not a Victorian aspect. It shouldn't be a different color, or get another color.
We don't want it to be a different color, we just want to basically, we just don't want it to be natural. We don't want it to be, we thought white was,
No?
yeah, so gray, we're just trying to make it
Have you got
disappear.
any gray on the building?
There's some gray on there, yeah.
The
Oh, yeah,
the clapboard.
the clapboard's gray,
The whole
yeah.
front of the
Yeah.
building's gray.
So it couldn't it be the same color gray and then
Yeah.
it would
Yeah.
smooth
Yeah.
in?
Yeah, that was the idea.
David, is that all right with you?
That works well with me.
Abby?
And looking at this color presentation, I'm inclined to think that the door would have been better with
The red thing?
the red and blue than the blue and white,
White, I
which
think
just
that looks
looks
horrible.
really out of place.
The white, yeah,
It's horrible.
I also think it gives greater emphasis to the front door, which is rather nice.
right.
I think the white front door looks bizarre now.
So, you know, if it's possible to make a motion that would include a change in that front door color, I'd like to be able to make
The
that.
surround would stay white and blue.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
just the door itself.
And that color is dark walnut,
Yep.
correct?
Correct. I don't have a problem with
All
that.
right. John, anything to add?
I have a side question I'd like to ask.
Yep.
What is that on that window? It's the only window in the whole building that has one.
That's
It's on
actually,
the west elevation,
What's the name?
Dave? West elevation,
West
right,
elevation.
the second window in the front. That little thing on that, I'm just curious, why that window has that one thing above the window, that little, whatever it is.
I can answer that.
Do it.
It actually does, that does exist, and that exists on all of the windows on the main portion of the house. It's a pre-existing condition, and I think it's on a layer that was
Yeah,
basically
move on.
shut off, so it's only shown on one.
Thanks,
David, make a motion.
Well, my motion is to approve with dark walnut color to be substituted for the
White.
white, glacial white on the front door
Still with the blue accents.
itself, with the blue accents
Okay.
to remain, and the
Ramp is
the ramp to be painted
glacial Rockport gray.
Rockport gray to match the clapboard. And that's my motion.
David's made that motion to staff. All those in favor? Go fix the application, not right now. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it was unanimous. All opposed? John's opposed, so it was 4 in favor, 1 opposed. In favor of Coombs, Camp, Barham, and Williams for the tape. Okay.
12 Spearhead Road.
Yep, which is the pit, Coffin's Pit. They got all these weird names, Flint Road, Spearhead Road,
Mohawk, Tomahawk.
Tomahawk, No-Hawk. Representing the applicant,
Al Oliver,
and
George Hughes.
the applicant.
go for it, Val.
It's pretty simple. It's a rectangular metal building, metal roof, metal sides, pole barn, right, George?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's a garage.
To store his porta potties.
I'm sure we'll be
In
very
an
happy to
area
go
that already
inside.
has buildings very similar to this.
Okay. Give them the colors, Val.
The roof is dark green, and
That's the difference. All the other ones have
the
been done in
sidewall
gray
is
or
gray.
black. That's why I wanted to give it to you guys.
Dark green?
Essex green, and the walls are the gray metal
Mm-hmm.
that we've approved, but the roof was a departure. In there, we've got, so far, we have gunmetal gray roofs that are metal standing seam. We have some black 3 tabs. We got some charcoal gray 3 tabs. This is the first green one I've seen. This is embedded in the middle of this development, unlike the other ones which are on the road. That's why I
Is
brought
it
it
a
in.
3-tab?
No, it's metal.
No, it's metal, gray,
Metal.
green metal, standing seam. Darker than your shirt.
I know. They threw that in there. I don't.
I do care. It's sort of nice to have a little change.
A little difference in there, but this one's embedded in the middle of the division.
down in
But
the
I
hole.
wanted you guys to see that it's actually in where
down in the hole,
the
yeah.
depression still exists.
Yes.
David?
I'm a little concerned about it. It may be fine given the context. I haven't been in there as recently as I would like. And this is something they really want to go and have a look.
Do they have a different color roof?
I'm sure they do. Yes.
They have the gunmetal
Gray,
gray
sure.
standing seam.
Yes.
I mean, you can just go, he needs to get going, so.
Are there pictures? I think they put
There's
pictures.
a reduced, there's little,
Yeah, I think they're on the front of the,
this
Yeah.
is in color.
yeah.
Well, this could come back Tuesday, right?
It's a maze out there, and it's going to be a maze. It's just,
Yeah.
You won't be able to see him at all by the time this is done, let me tell you. You're going to have to actually be there to see
Yeah.
him. Because he's already got 4 or 5 that we've approved in front of him on the roadside. Those went first.
you've got other metal roof with standing seams out there, right?
Yeah.
I don't mind the essence of green. It makes it look less like a compound.
Abby, where are you?
I'm for the traditional gray tin roof.
Not 10. Diane?
Yeah.
That didn't go very far.
I'll get it. Where's my pen?
Let the record reflect that John is leaving at 2:34.
Yeah, Val, it would have helped me on this if the locus was zoomed out a little bit more, so I had a sense of whether or not we were seeing this route from Sun Island Road and that kind of thing.
It's on here.
It's a little tight.
You've got Arrowhead here.
Yeah.
You've
Show me
got
where Sun Island is.
way up here.
Exactly.
Because
It's
there's,
not on there. That's why I'm asking for it.
this is where
see
the shipyard is.
I just need to
Shipyard's,
know that.
No.
shipyard in Toscana is up here,
They're behind me, right?
Up here.
Actually, hold on.
and the airport's over there.
Let's see if I can shoot these.
Sorry, I thought I had enough
Yeah.
cross streets.
No, you only have one street. But you see this, David, where it says Arrowhead Technology Corp.?
Yeah, I do.
That's a big complex. Then you get to the shipyard, then you get to Toscana's down on the corner. And you got Yates over here, and the shipyard over here, and then another
stuff
commercial building
across
over
the
here. There's all commercial. Then the airport is right here, Dave.
Okay, I can see where that is on the satellite view.
You and your fancy
What's the
phone.
height of this thing overall?
There we go.
What's the eve height?
It's the eve
30
height
feet
is
overall and 21.
21.
Corporate pitch.
This is Massaquoi.
On balance, I'm with Abby that I think it makes sense to stay with something that doesn't call attention to itself and is quieter.
You're good with that,
This
aren't
thing's going to
Is that the
heat up
color?
like crazy if it's dark green.
Yeah, I know.
That's fine. I think the color came from the people
Band.
doing the roof. They just
Yeah.
threw that in there.
A little
I'll-
variety, because we've used them before. So it would be a gunmetal gray roof.
Okay.
Is that your motion?
Yeah, it's fine, yeah.
David, is that all right with you, Diane?
Yeah, the only thing I want to
Doesn't
know
have to be
is
the same as the walls,
along
the walls are just gray.
along Arrowhead or Spearhead, are there aprons?
There will be one apron.
I know you've got
Correct.
one apron, but do the other buildings have aprons, or is this?
They're required to have aprons.
Yes,
I mean,
every
I thought
lot
they were
will have
required
an
now,
apron.
'cause I don't remember seeing a bunch.
And I'm not sure, didn't he put some of the aprons
But I might
in?
have
They haven't done
Meadow
any yet.
Road.
They haven't done any yet.
haven't
They're
done
going
any
to- They're
yet.
going to be putting the ramps into each property as part of the road improvement.
Right,
They
okay,
have to put their
that's,
curb cut out.
Correct.
because I hadn't seen them.
They haven't done it yet.
Yeah,
That's correct.
we're not there yet.
It's getting close because they talked to me about it the other day.
That's all right.
Yep.
They've sold enough to be able to do the
Yes.
infrastructure. That was why the ones on the road were done first, because they get the profits from those to do the infrastructure for the people who bought lots further in.
Right.
That's how that's going. So David's motion was to approve with a gunmetal gray standing seam roof. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. You're done. Here
Thank
comes
you very
Diane.
much.
There you go. Diane, plans have to go back, and there's the thing.
I'm good to go.
You're good to
Thank
go.
you. We'll be in touch.
Bye.
Thanks.
I'll be in touch in probably about 3 weeks.
249 Hummock Pond Road.
Okay, what is this? Flavin. Okay. Flavin. For the record, John left at 2:34, so sitting on Hughes for the tape is Barham, Coombs, Camp, and Williams only. And that's what's remaining for the rest of the day. Flavin, Barham, Camp, Coombs, and Williams.
Flavin's the application.
Flavin's the application representing the applicant. I think
Oh,
Terry
okay.
got that from there. Because Terry's not here, so we have to be very explicit.
She just goes, yeah, one thing.
Oh, that was a short meeting. Now she gets to stay here. Let the record reflect Terry just came into the room at 2:38. Alrighty, Val, go.
So this is a barn that was moved, it hasn't actually moved yet, it's in the process,
We
from
already gave it
Westerwick
permission.
to this site. We want to push it back on the lot, away from the road, so it's almost even with the back corner of the house, and put a few windows in.
The south faces the road.
Yes, correct, and that's staying.
We got nowhere else to face it.
They're true divided light like the house. That's about it.
Was there a reason this was not on the consent agenda?
It was location, and I wasn't exactly sure where originally it was going right level with the house, and I didn't know if you guys had a problem with the French doors facing the Timo, but it may be far enough back and blocked by the house substantially. I just wanted you to look at it. Plus the windows on the west were where the real concern were. There's no road there.
Right, but you have a full view of it.
So I just wanted you to check it out. It's behind the house to the west of it.
And I think you see the east.
So there's just a few little queebs that I just wanted you to see.
Well, there are a couple of things that jump out. I mean, I do think that on the west, those windows are 6 wide, 6 panes wide. I think it would be preferable if they were 5 panes wide, and the gaps between the 3 units was slightly increased. Now, your plan shows a wood deck on grade, and that deck does not appear on your site plan, but it would appear to almost connect to or touch the existing deck behind the house.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
And so, what's happening with that, and are they at the same elevations? Are you going to have steps from one to the other? That needs to be figured out. I don't see it as a big problem, but I think you need to know what you're doing before you ask us to approve it.
Well, it's at grade right here.
Yeah, but maybe the deck behind the house isn't.
Yeah, that's fine. We can come back with more information.
So you want to hold it, or you want to just take the deck off it for now?
Yeah, I'll take the deck off and come back
That way
with
she can move the structure.
Well, I'll give you another option. I mean, I have no other concerns than the ones I've mentioned. I'm not concerned about there being a deck. I don't know that it would, in this location, that it would concern me if the 2 decks joined. I think that if we held it for revisions, if those were the only objections that other commission members had, it would be a candidate for the consent agenda.
Okay.
So that gives you a way to get it approved without having to reapply.
Okay.
I can't put it on a consent agenda unless you'll let me do that. That's one of my questions for you guys at some point, is if they do exactly what we told them to do, do I have to put them back on the regular old business agenda, or can they then go to consent?
Well, if you can make
because
a
they've
quick
done
check.
everything they've done.
If you can make these changes by Tuesday, I think you've got to put it down.
Okay.
Approve it today?
Because there's a deck being shown here, and we don't know if this building is at, and this deck, which would be, it's not shown here. But
Yeah, I didn't put it on there.
Basically, that deck is
You
going to
gotta,
go
gotta
there.
start bringing pictures of what's
It's going to
there.
be, it's the same
You gotta start
join,
elevation.
why
We go into
can't
this
we
big
have-
problem all the time, where we don't have
We don't
what's
know.
there.
This is a very flat
Yeah.
little area right along there, so the barn isn't going to be higher or lower.
The house isn't elevated, put it that way.
No.
So that deck is going to have to be somewhere close to the ground.
It's on grade, but you know what? That's fine. I'll bring in the
Let's fix it
information.
up. We'll do it right, and we'll have it done by Tuesday.
Well, here's the
But how do
problem.
I get it on the agenda?
That's what I'm saying. It's not being held for revisions because that deadline's already passed.
We can't hold it for revisions?
We can hold it for revisions, but you're going to have to go right over there
You
and
know
tell them
what?
we
It's
held
okay,
it.
because they're not in a hurry, so we'll just go back with regular revisions.
Okay, good, thank you.
So we're just holding it for
Yeah.
regular revision. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
There is another way to do it.
Well, we can figure that out another time.
We can approve it through staff, which is what the problem is here.
She
We want to
doesn't
approve
mind.
it through
Motion to
staff.
hold for revisions, let's get
All right, so it's not coming back on Tuesday, guys.
No.
correct.
Okay, you're down to 3 members.
That's all right.
All right, David's made a motion to hold for revisions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so bag Tuesday. Larry Weldon. Is he not here during the daytime?
I don't know, but he had an issue with the fee, I know that.
Terry, are they done downstairs?
Yes.
Then no reason why he shouldn't be up here. Hold on.
Okay. We will.
Terry, did they all leave?
Yes.
You know, his unrepresented things, and I've had this discussion with him before, the unrepresented stuff we usually have problems with or questions for, which wastes our time because he's not here to respond. He should have come upstairs. Otherwise, we're going to hold it, which isn't helping us. You guys might want to take a look at it. Go ahead and give it to him. He's not here, too bad. We'll make comments.
Yeah.
Mark, are you going to come back for this? We're just getting to yours now. I know you don't have ZBA. All right, hang on to this until he gets here, guys. He's going to come back. All right, we'll wait. Now. Okay. For sake, so you don't want to look at this without him, let me tell you. All right, we're going to go on to Beatles.
You want to leave that?
We can just keep them.
We're just going to keep him. He'll be here whenever he gets here.
All right.
I just went home. No, he's not. They're done. He went home. Beatles.
All right.
Representing the applicant.
Julie Jordan?
Took me forever to figure out that you're writing design.
I know, they
I had
put
to
me
go to
on
your
as something
website. I had to go to your
different
website.
every time.
I had no clue. Sitting on this is, oh, Terry's here now. I don't have to repeat it. Explain.
Okay. This project is a client who would like to build a garden in a phased approach. They have a bunch of children, so they would like to have better access to their house, which would mean changing their driveway from Chase Lane to Pulpus Road. And in phase 2, the installation of a swimming pool. So in phase 1, we would like to regrade and provide access through the property to Pulpus Road. And we've been through Concom and been to the DPW about the curb cut.
You didn't bring any pictures of the house, right?
The house is probably scheduled to be renovated between my landscaping phases, but he hasn't hired an architect or anything like that.
Again, you might have not been here when I put this out to everybody. Guys, if there is existing stuff on a property and you're coming in with an application, we want to see a picture of everything on the property.
I mean, I have it on my iPad, but I know you guys don't like that.
No, I don't care about that. Because we don't have any clue.
Enter it into the form.
I mean, I could print it.
Then you're going to have to print it and bring it in,
Okay.
but show it.
Okay.
Because you have no idea how these walls are integrated into what structure.
The materials existing now are pretty haphazard. It seems as though the site was secondary, which is why the construction driveway off Chase Lane stayed the primary driveway, because there's plenty of numbers on Pulpus Road for this to go to Pulpus Road, and the neighbors connect to Pulpus Road on both sides. So
it seems to me that they just kind of ran out of money to do anything. So when the landscaping that's there now are just some old fieldstone walls done on the cheap. And I have a materials list of my materials that I'm proposing while I get up that picture of the existing house.
Here you go. David. Diane.
I'll get it.
These stupid kill these things.
Here's the house and the walls. You can pass that around.
There we go. And that wall is on what side of the building?
It's on the side, Pulpus Road side.
All right.
It's quite unclear to me what is existing on site.
The demo plan should show it. There's a plan that shows all the existing conditions and shows what we're going to be moving. This is the demo plan. So what's existing are these fieldstone walls.
Okay.
Okay, and they're, and this parking is just what they use to construct the house.
Yeah.
And it seems as though they went for a maximum view because they piled a bunch of soil right here, and then they built these walls. So what my goal is to try and ease the transition from the drive approach
Diane,
to the house by using a longer tier approach and planting in a more gentle way and getting them a Pulpus Road address.
They tried to get them for 4 weeks.
For the front, yeah. I'd like to use different material, but I'd like the front to look like that.
I cannot carry anything over.
So the pool location and the ability to do a pool is really all I kind of want with this application, because all I really want to do this spring is cut the driveway, and I'm going to have to come back with more detail anyway for the pool. But I thought if you guys could give me some feedback on that, that would be great.
The pool isn't going to be on the Pulpus Road side, is it?
No.
And where is that?
That's my idea for the pergola, and this is the demo plan. Keep up here. So here's my landscape plan. So the existing walls are way up here, and my idea is to use grade to ease the transition so it doesn't look like someone put a bunch of soil.
Where's this chimney?
Oh, it's a little fireplace for that. That's okay. I don't need it on this.
Well, that's not part of the application, because we're not doing the pool yet. That's part of the
Like
pool
you
stuff.
shared your,
Oh my God.
It's part of the pool
Like
thing. It's not
weird
happening. It's not on the
that
drawing. She
building
was just
boom in the
throwing it
late
on the
80s,
table where
90s.
she
It
shouldn't.
needs work, but it's got good bones. But it
Has
has
nothing to do with this.
So I think the house itself will be back, but what we'd like to do today is to get approval to do the driveway cut and to do some regrading in the front. And I would love the approval to install a pool with coming back for all the details about the pool.
I'm not.
If you can't do that, that's okay.
No.
I just really want to cut the driveway.
This is what you want.
Give you an indication.
The front page is what you want, right?
That's what I want to do.
Forget the second page.
Thank you.
The front page doesn't even show me the curb cut. So I think
Right,
that's...
so the curb cut does show on the side.
Yeah. So I think we can limit our comments. Now, let me ask you also.
Sure.
At this stage, are you going to want to do this work, regrading in front of the house? And
No, I don't think so. So we're just going to level out to this parking area here for right now and keep all of this for this spring. And then I'd be coming back to do all of this jazz here.
Well, this is going to be very difficult for Mark to inspect and figure out what the hell we're improving.
You're approving a driveway installation right now, I guess would be the answer.
this driveway doesn't exist already?
They're coming from the other way where they did this construction driveway comes off of Chase. They never changed it. But everybody on both sides of them come off of Pulpus, and she's asking to move the driveway over there now, and you're going to have to get rid of this.
Yes, it's going to be a walking trail, yeah.
if this application is for the driveway and the apron only,
Yes.
I have no objection to the driveway. I believe the apron would be more appropriate as cobble, as a companion to the pea gravel. But I think it's easy to approve those two items.
Great.
And move on.
And that's fine.
Everything
That's
else
what all I want to do right now. It's good to get your comments.
All that stuff's coming off. So you're going to have to. They're going to have to correct it. We're going to have to correct that application.
I'll resubmit. Yeah.
And you're going to have to correct these drawings, so all we see is a driveway and a cobblestone apron.
Okay.
None of the rest of it. because Katie cannot stamp this. Because the driveway's not on the same plan as the apron, you gotta fix the whole thing.
Oh, that's right. Scale and do the demo plan.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
So what we're approving is, and she's going to have to correct the drawings and correct the application through you.
Well, it goes through staff approval, so I
Yep.
don't look at those. You'll look at them
Yep.
and then tell me.
So what's your motion?
My motion is to approve the proposed driveway as pea gravel and an apron to be cobble, not cobblestone.
And the only thing on this plan you're
Or Belgian
approving is the
block.
driveway,
Sorry, not Belgian block.
driveway and the apron.
Yep.
That's it. That's David's motion. All those in favor? Terry, do you get that one?
Yep.
Okay. So we're holding
Ready for
one.
another Easter egg over here?
Act Baby. We're going to Act Baby.
This has 133 Westchester on the application, but on the agenda it's 113. I don't know. This is not confirmed.
It's unclear as to the address of this property. 11R Crooked Lane, 113 Westchester.
The map and parcel is correct.
The map and parcel is correct.
This has to go back.
Has it been properly noticed on the agenda for the purposes of?
They don't have an official address yet. That's the
Linda
problem.
did call me and ask me to bring subdivision plans for this subdivision
The
with
whole
the
thing is
lot
one address.
highlighted. So I've done that.
Here you go. David, the assessors is a year at least behind giving things addresses. Somebody else has the same problem. So they're just going to have to figure it out when they get to the building department. You said pea stone on the driveway?
Yes.
And cobblestone, David? You want water? Pause for a second while David gets a beverage. This room is just killing people. Sneezing on cobblestone apron.
I forgot to wear my SARS mask.
Yeah, this you gotta wear that in here, I'm gonna tell you.
Is it really a building?
Yes. All right. You know,
Do you think it's the building? Why do you think it's the building?
because they don't fix the filters, and they don't have any moisture in it. I'm allergic to stuff, so I know when the filters aren't clean. Diane, here it comes. Let's see if I can get it.
Oh, I'll get it for you, Diana.
All right, Act Baby, representing the applicant.
Julie Jordan.
So what? Thank you. What address are we using? Map and parcel is correct.
I would just go by that.
113.
It's lot number 5 in that subdevelopment. So
So it's like 5.
You know, I'm maybe particularly dim today, but I can't make any sense out of the site plan I've been handed that shows me.
well, this is the subdivision plan that Linda asked me to bring. Give your locus map.
No, where is it?
It's right here.
That will help.
That will help you.
Yeah.
Okay. That doesn't help. I'll tell you why. The property here, as you can see, goes north-south, right?
Mm-hmm.
The property I'm looking at here goes east-west,
Right.
which is
Yeah, right. This is like this.
okay. So north is in fact over here.
Yes, this is the north side of the house. That's how I'm planting this whole thing. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
So it goes like this as well.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
That helps.
Can we move on now to the design?
The house is set quite low in the grade. The house is already approved and built when I came on board. So I brought some small grading plans for you to take a look at. My objective was to grade it in the most minimal way, but the house is really set pretty low. I achieved my objective because none of the walls that you see on the plan are over 2 feet tall, and the only place, there's only a small span where they're 2 feet. The rest of the walls are 1.5 feet.
All right, guys, I don't have a set of plans.
Why not?
Nobody passed me one. No, that's the one we're waiting for him on.
That's it.
Is it just one little sheet here? Okay, because I've got so many papers here.
Julie, let me ask you a question. You're showing some contours on this site plan, but you're not giving me any.
Guys, take it in the hallway, please.
Here's the grading.
So I don't know if the slope is up or the slope is
Here,
down.
will you please accept the grading plan and pass them?
Give one to Diane. It's not going to make it there. That's what I'm saying. It's not going to make it there. We've got too many trees in the middle of the table. I'm confused. David, go for it quickly.
Well, here's what's troubling to me. If I look at the existing contours, you know, it's a gently sloping site. There's not dramatic change.
There's real dramatic change the way that the house is put in there.
Over here there is.
Yes.
What I'm really focusing on is the portion of the landscape toward the bottom of the page, where it looks to me like you're pushing all the contours away from the house
And
all
building
the way,
up privacy
all the way
along
along
here,
the
yes.
property line and creating a dead level lawn.
I mean, it starts sloping here, but it is
Pretty
flat.
level, yeah.
Yep, but this is all native planting, and this is not Westchester Street. This is another person's driveway.
Okay, this is going up, so this is lower than you
This
created
is
the
higher.
berm.
This is higher.
This
And
is
so it
higher.
just gently slopes down to this, and I'm going to plant it all out so that they get privacy on their deck. The way the house is sited is this is just a sheer drop, like it's just really bottoms out right there.
All right, back the truck up for a second. This is Greek, and the pool on an elevated bed. It's Greek. You're asking for the pool. What should happen here is that you should go take a look at the lot. You're never going to get it from this. The
So you
house
guys
is there.
need the view?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
because whoever has not been out here is never going to know what the hell's going on.
Right, because this isn't even really Crooked Lane, that's what they're calling it.
I know, I thought this was, I thought these were two roads.
To give
And
you,
this is
to
just
give
a-
you,
This is just an access to this subdivision.
Guys,
That's this.
all right, stop for a minute. We're wasting time. Guys, it's directly across the street from Billy Cassidy. Yeah, so you can't miss finding it, and there's quite a slope.
I know where to find it.
So why don't we
You
just
think
put
we
it on
ought to
the
go
view?
view it?
Yes.
All right, back in the view.
And maybe in another thing, we cross out some of the streets like that Crooked Lane that doesn't exist. So that
But they are calling that Crooked Lane.
It is Crooked
11R.
Lane. It is
I know it
Crooked Lane.
is, but
The motion is to
but
view
there's
it
no road there.
the
There is a road there.
elevations
You get
of
to
the
Billy's
new
that way.
contours added to the drawing.
That's how you get to Billy's.
Say
Go
again.
down, you go
Instead
down,
of going up the
I want the
MSPCA, it goes
elevations of the
straight.
new
Right,
contours
and it goes
added
all the
to
way down.
drawing,
didn't it?
And I'd like this
So
at
he
a
went down to
larger
Billy's.
scale.
Right, but it wasn't
Here you
There's
go.
a road. That's
Where
a
do you
road.
want me to?
Crooked
That's
Lane.
for the view pack.
Okay,
Over there.
Pack.
gotcha.
And make sure you email it in to the, what is it, HTC
Yeah, I got it.
submissions, Kate? You got that.
I know where that is.
All right, so David's motioning to hold it for a view for next week, right? It comes
You're
back on
gonna mark the
Tuesday.
pool and stuff so you know where you want.
Well, unfortunately, the grade, they're changing the grade where the pool is, and you can't really mark it because you're really changing the grade where the pool is.
Where are we going next? We going to permits and costs? Or
All right, so David's made a motion to hold for a viewing. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that will come back next week, Julie. Okay, so that's a view. 12 Oak Hollow. I thought we did this. Did we do
Well, sort of. I can explain.
this? What lot is this one? I don't have a lot on this.
Really, it's on there.
I didn't have one on the, to give to me. Which lot is this?
It's 59. I can
I
explain.
thought we already did this.
I can explain.
Go, explain quickly.
Good afternoon, Chip Webster for the client. Okay, this, as you might recall, there were two lots next to each other that we came in together
Tuesday.
with. And we got an approval for a house on Lot 59, which is what's right before you, but the client wanted to move that one up to 58, which you approved on Tuesday. So this is the new design for Lot 59.
The vacant, now vacant.
Then now, yes, correct. See, pretty straightforward.
Both of these are lot 59 because I moved the other one down to track this.
That's right, both the applications before you, it's the main house and the second third dwelling.
So this is the main house.
So, what's that?
This is the revision.
No, this is a brand-new house.
That does the,
I have to be wrong here, I think.
All right, this is the wrong one.
that is wrong. That's the one you've already approved.
We've already approved this, so this should be moving to a different lot. That's without your lot numbers, without addresses, without map and parcel numbers. This is what I said to you guys last week. This makes this project very difficult to move stuff around. Because the assessor's office doesn't work this way. All right, so we need the new dwelling. Put that back. We already did this. You got to get this worked out, because if you go into the building department and try to find these, they're not going to be able to take them because they need a map and parcel.
I don't know if they have the new addresses.
They don't.
This lot number.
You don't.
Right. So that needs to be.
You can't even hold a building permit. Because it's still one lot as far as they're concerned, because it's one parcel number and one map number. So you can't even pull a building permit for this. Okay.
Okay.
Do I have the second, wait a minute.
That's the second.
That's the secondary dwelling, that's not the right one either. Just
Well, you
fold it
can-
up.
well, hold on to that
Just
one.
fold it up and hold on to it, Diane. All right, we need the new one.
This is all I have for plans.
There should be a whole brand-new file with a whole a big new house. I bet you it's in the other file that they left back there that we already approved. I bet you they got all the files messed up. We have messed up.
Well, I don't know, because Ethan came in and redid all of them.
He said he
and
redid all of them, but they're
Yeah.
still wrong.
So this is what I have. I mean, we didn't
Well,
touch the files.
If you don't have it, you don't have it, right?
So they're still all wrong.
So we'll just move it on.
Put everything over to Tuesday.
Okay.
David's made a motion to hold, you go in and do it, because those plans are in there
Well, no,
somewhere.
he just took out one sheet of each file. And
They're
we'll
wrong.
coordinate.
They're all wrong.
Okay. All right.
So what's going on now is that, I just handed you back, Mark Coors. Yeah, well done. I just handed you, that's probably the one right there. All right, hang on to that. All right, David's made a motion to hold 17 and 18 to the beginning of Tuesday's meeting. All those in favor? And I'll make sure they're up at the beginning. But
Okay,
Chip,
thanks.
you go do it. Because
That's
Chip, you know what we're
second
missing.
dwelling,
Ethan doesn't know what we're missing. You know what we're missing.
He said, well, we'll get it.
No, you go.
Let's,
All right, Seacliff Seacliff LLC, Seacliff on the brain. And I'm telling you, I think we've already done this. I couldn't find anybody to give me an answer. So just motion to hold number 19, because I think we've already done it.
There were 3 different applications.
That's why nobody answered me. She didn't answer me the other day.
Well, I don't know, I just answered 2 already. This is, I think.
The one
this is a
remaining?
This is a new application. This is a revision.
Okay, let's look at that then.
Change?
Go ahead. Because nobody had any idea how many we had at one point, because
Well, I
they
know
only
I
signed
stamped-
up one.
I know I have stamped 2. I think this is just a revision to a chimney with a lot of paperwork, but you only need 1.
This is what we're trying to get rid of for chimney change. Or moving a window 6 inches. And guys, right off the bat, do me a favor, cross this off. Cross the driveway off, so we don't have an argument with them.
It's window changes, porch changes, door changes, raised patio, deck, window, remove rail, entry change, porch changes.
The reason why I think this has already been done, guys, is because we said okay, but we did not say to it, we said no to the change to the front door. Do you remember?
yeah.
So that's why I don't know, and they're not stamped, so I don't know what the date is. It's stamped April 2nd, which takes us back to before we told him he couldn't have the door changed.
Is this the John Paul guy?
Joe Paul. So I think we've already, that's what I'm saying, I think we already did this, except that that porch extension on the front, on the left, I don't think we were in favor of either.
What about the round windows?
That he already got approved for one.
And what about the two skylights on the south elevation?
I think you need to hold this to Tuesday for representation.
So moved.
David's made a motion to hold this to Tuesday for representation. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll get a hold of him. I even emailed him, I said, how many of these do you have? And he didn't respond. Your turn. We're doing number 20 now. Danny Boy. Is that where I am with you? What am I on with you?
This is it.
Danny Boy.
Yeah, Danny
Yeah,
Boy.
that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Representing the applicant?
Paul Shuttleworth.
What are you doing?
This is kind of strange. They had already submitted a dwelling on this property, but apparently they've kind of redesigned, so I guess they just did it as new business.
Because we already had a dwelling.
Right.
So what's going on now is revisions.
They just totally abandoned. If this should be a revision to old, but it's totally revised. I mean, it's completely.
You don't have the original approval, do you?
I don't have it with me. I mean, I have it in the truck.
Yay.
I don't think. Yeah, that's it.
That's the original approval.
That's the
All
original.
right, Katie, do you want to just hold it up? That's the original approval.
All right.
This is a lot less of a building.
Yeah. So I even have a permit for that. But Steve had made, when Steve got it, he had made a lot of changes for it to meet the building code. And then the owner is like, didn't.
Forget it?
Yeah, they didn't like all the changes, the stairs and all this stuff. So they've gone in a totally different direction. And that's what you see in front of you.
It's not really visible. It's behind another house, behind another house, behind another house.
Well, yeah, this is the Low Beach one. This is coming off Low Beach, so it's really just behind that. Well, yeah, you're right. There's two
There's a
dwellings.
whole monster thing in front of it.
Right.
Are you looking for comments?
Yeah. Look at the roof material.
My comments are focused on two things, the chimney and the porch. Porch first.
The porch on the
west elevation.
west elevation.
Problematic. The details are problematic. Columns should come to the edge of the beam that runs over the top of them. So you've got the beam running beyond, right?
Yep.
The face of the column needs to align with where the beam corners and turns back.
Okay.
You've got the return on that beam over the columns as being open.
Right.
I think it ought to be closed.
It's a little cheek wall right here.
Yeah, running back toward the house.
Here.
Right.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay? And when you do that, you solve the problem of that beam not being as wide as the column that's underneath it, which would have to be fixed otherwise.
Right.
The span between the columns is abnormally long. If you want a porch that long, I recommend that you add a column just the other side of the C window, and then pair it
with a door.
same distance on the other side. Yeah. So you have basically two columns towards the end of the porch. That gives you your middle span becomes more reasonable.
Got it.
Okay.
You okay with the 2/1s?
Then what do we got on the main house?
This is the main house.
It's a separate lot. It's owned by the, don't get confused, go back to the site plan.
Yeah.
It's owned by the big lot to the
Underhill.
left.
Yeah.
Right to the left.
Right.
Okay.
So it is a standalone lot because of the secondary dwelling situation, so they
Right.
had to put a dwelling on this lot to get the
Right.
pool on this
And
lot.
which we have a pool and a cabana that
They
we're
couldn't
already.
have it by themselves.
But one thing that I want to point out before you tear into the chimney is that we do have a cabana that's already got a permit and approved with this chimney in it. And we
Okay.
also have the house on Underhill, which I know we're kind of trying not to pair
It
these
is.
two, but it does
Okay.
have the same chimney veneer.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and also the columns and
The 2/1s.
and the little flare-out shingle under the column. These are all details that really started with the Underhill house and are on the Cabana,
That's-
and now we're trying to...
Yeah, and I
Okay.
was just looking to make this relate to the other houses
Fair enough.
that are associated with it. And I
Yep.
realize the property lines are running kind of crazy, but
Yeah.
it's basically one complex.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So that answers my question. I'm sorry we are where we are with the chimney, because it looks kind of like a New Jersey treatment, but
It's not quite that linear.
It's not at all.
It's very
There's not a
rough
picture, is there?
and rounded. It's
On
not that.
On that,
One color?
the original approval has a picture, I think, of what it really is. It's round.
Yeah, it's
Stone.
a much more rural character.
then I think the way for us to deal with that in our approval is simply say that the chimney details are to match the other chimneys.
Fine.
So,
Yeah. I think actually, if you see on the south elevation, it says chimney stone to match chimney of the existing. No, that's not. There's an actual digital photo somewhere.
Okay.
This isn't.
There's not the chimney.
No,
I have one too.
don't worry about it.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Diane?
The windows, the B windows and the C windows are
I'm
the
going
wrong
to staple
shape.
these things when you get them.
That's my fault. That's entirely my fault.
The window panes.
Window pane.
Horizontal.
On the dormer, Diane?
On the dormer and the B window on the first floor underneath that.
East.
Yep.
Elevation.
Very horizontal.
And the west elevation has the little one on the side of the door and the pillars that we were talking about.
Right. So C's and B's need to be more vertically oriented. They're horizontal.
Okay.
The panes.
So then,
Panes.
yeah, but yeah, you want that face of that dormer then to be elongated,
Does anybody care if the dormer gets like 6 inches wide, longer, top to
like down
bottom?
the
face of
pitch of the
dormer?
roof?
No, 6 inches.
Yeah, I don't care.
Better looking than those windows.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
And the other ones are easy to fix.
That's fine.
Now,
I got a code question on this. You've got this 14-foot long two-step access to those doors on the south elevation. You don't need a landing for that?
he's got a landing.
No, he doesn't.
He's got a porch right here.
The two doors on the south?
There's a porch right there.
On the south elevation?
Yeah, right here. They got a little deck right there. A two-step deck.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let me show you something.
Maybe not on the side.
That's it, seen in profile.
Yeah. You can't see it from anywhere.
You're not going to go out the building.
I would rather that it be a deck.
He's going
I would rather
What is that?
I'd rather make that bigger. Can we make that bigger?
I think it has to be a minimum of 3 feet or not.
Yeah, stepping out of that door.
For code reasons.
Right.
All right. Is this something we're doing through staff, or is he just going back to Graham to do the... I think you need to go back to Graham, because I can't move those posts out.
We need to clean drawings. Graham will have to do this.
I'd like to see the windows and
Yeah.
stuff on it.
Yeah,
Anybody
okay.
else
So
have
do
anything
you want
to
me
add?
to change that though? Want me to have them make
Yes.
it 3 foot and then one step off?
Give them to... You've got
We have a
stoops
window in
on
the
both,
south
and both
elevation.
sides that have a problem. So
Oh,
just
really?
Make them stoops, yes.
Wait, that
There's one on the other side.
that north
Does
side.
face-
Yeah. So it's 3 feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever. Just make
I
them
got it.
stoop.
I got it.
So, David, are you making a motion to hold for revisions?
I am, yeah.
Can we mention the south elevation,
Okay.
that you've only got 2 doors, no window?
You can't see it?
You
That's
can't see the south elevation?
Not from
it's
anywhere.
got that chimney, you know.
Chimney breast.
Chimney's right there.
There's absolutely no way to see it anyway.
Hmm?
No way to see it.
Okay.
That's why we
I was
approved,
asking.
that's why we approved some of those other weird things over there. David's made a motion to hold for revisions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Revisions include a photograph of
I'll
the
have it in
chimney
it.
top as part of the drawings.
You know what?
That'll solve that
My
problem.
other plan has that picture, but I'll make sure they put it in this one.
Good, thank you.
Okay, that was unanimous for revisions. Goldweiss? Representing the applicant?
Christopher.
You got the whole name for the table. Yeah.
Here for a beating. Why are there so many microphones today?
They gave those to us, and actually, they're all pollinating down there.
So I go and sit down there.
This may be one for you, you're right. Yep.
This application, shall I
Go.
represent? This application is basically to finish out 71 Orange Street. Unfortunately, we have to put the air conditioning units where they are, and a solution to the situation is to put, I think it's some
18 inches down.
bushes on the right-hand side of the property line, and then bushes, and I believe it's got on the fence, and drop the air conditioning units into the ground
18 inches.
by a certain depth, and therefore not being able to view them. That has...
They're
so-
dropping in 18 inches, because I went to look at it. They're dropping in 18 inches. They've got a type 2 cap picket, natural to weather fence, and then year-round vegetation, and then year-round vegetation on the property line. So there's 2 layers of vegetation, of fence, and they're dropping.
Just for your
Edification?
concerns, which I understand your concerns because I've sat here before and listened to your concerns, it does actually work. There are many situations similar to this in town,
Across the street.
with not as much planting around them, and it does actually eliminate the air conditioning units. That was what I was asking the owner to do initially. What do I know?
Did you already throw it back, Diane?
Yeah.
You okay?
I don't know what else they're going to do. It's already there. I turned off the lights, maybe the house wouldn't get so hot.
You've already thrown your... All right, stop talking. You've already thrown yours back, Abby, and she's already signing. David?
Is this painted or natural to weather?
The fence?
Yeah.
It'll be natural.
Okay, somebody make a motion with a natural to weather fence.
Can I just... Yeah.
What
Yeah,
color's
I think
what
that's-
color's the fence across the front of the house? Is that white? The outside fence is white? The fence against them is natural to weather? Yeah.
Yeah, it's natural
Yeah.
to weather. I don't
The
recall
fence
it being
against
that
them were natural to weather. The new fence on the street, I think, is white, because the front one's white.
Do you know what? I see so many fences on a daily basis. I don't recall whether there's a fence across the front of this building.
I think there is, and I think it's white, and then it goes around the corner.
It's got to be white on Orange.
Yeah.
So the perimeter fence is white. The perimeter fence is white. The fence around the units is natural to weather.
Natural to weather.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
Do you want all the fences natural to weather?
No, I don't think there's a fence other than that.
Yeah.
I don't believe
There
there's
will
a
be a
fence
fence
there.
on the side street, though.
Yes. And it's not all, just so you guys know, it's not, have you looked at the plan, it's not all the way down, it's just to the edge of the building. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
So that was unanimous. That was unanimous vote? Everybody? Okay.
Unanimous?
Yeah.
Oh.
Move out.
Move along. Just a little bit of bad news. Henry Varian just passed away.
What? Who did?
Henry.
I was just talking about him yesterday. He was at a job of his.
He fell off the staging this morning.
What? Where?
On Pleasant Street.
Which house?
Number 4 or something like that? Or?
Steve Lindsay project.
Yeah, the yellow house.
Yeah, he fell off the staging this morning.
Oh, dear.
Who's this?
Henry Varian.
Henry.
Oh, no.
He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
The guy, the bricklayer
Lovely
and
Irish
stuff, and lives at 4 Okawa.
Oh, my God.
Why are the flags at half staff also?
The policeman from Plymouth, the motorcycle cop.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's terrible.
Awful. That is awful.
And he died because he fell off the stage.
Staging.
Oh.
I don't know, what was he doing? Oh, he must have been doing the chimney up there.
Yeah.
Which house is this?
I think it's 4 Pleasant.
The one that Mickey Rowland's property? Project?
It's the one that always had the giant sail, the yellow giant
Oh,
sailboat
the
in the
yellow
window.
neoclassic.
Yeah.
Oh, that one. That's like 40 feet in the air.
Yes, it is way up.
Oh.
Mark, your turn.
He's the best.
Permit plus for the applicant.
Hold on. They have to make sure they get the plans back. I was just talking about the job of his yesterday.
Katie, could you make sure the package of photographs are on the table for each application?
Which one is this?
There were 4 photographs attached to each set of drawings.
Which one are we on?
I only have one set of photos. I don't know what task.
Weldon, that's where we are. So look.
I stapled each set of drawings.
Mark, your locus is such that I've got no cross street that tells me where on North South I am or what I'm next to.
Okay. You're down by the frame shop, if that'll give you any indication.
Which one?
Pine Tree Lane, Marianne Drive.
Okay.
This used to be the Brothers Building property years ago down by the airport.
But it's not really on Old South, is it? Or
Yes.
I had no idea where this was.
It's got a big rock.
Explain to me again where this is.
This is the
You've got
old
a-
Brothers Builders property where they housed their employees and did their
But
business.
that's the one up front.
That is the one closest to the road.
Right.
That is correct.
The old Reese property.
The Weldons own both properties. They share a driveway that comes in on 95 that
Right.
services both 95 and 97. And this is adjacent to Pine Tree Lane, the frame shop where Nantucket Architecture Group used to have their business. So it's right in that general context.
It's right here. That's over here.
Yeah, well, there's not.
It's the other side of the road.
It is, yes, that's why I'm using that as a reference, because most people know where Pine Tree Lane is.
It's in Gowacki land.
Yeah,
Reese's,
it's
Reese's
all,
old property.
Yeah, Reese's old property, thank you.
And this is a secondary dwelling?
No, this is a garage and workshop building. Let me give you some background here, and that's why the photographs are important. As I just said, the driveway access comes onto 95 Old South Road and then jogs way over to the eastern side of 97 and runs down. So the photographs I gave you, one is a vantage point from Old South Road looking down the driveway into the back of the lot where you can't even see the location of this building in any direct shot. The locations that are given after that photograph are as I move down the driveway that currently exists, which would be maintained, to the actual siting in the back southeast corner of the lot. Directly behind the siting of this garage workshop is another garage workshop / barn with a board and batten siding, all natural finish of the same size. That is directly behind this building. So when you look at the location, you'll see that these two buildings are effectively in context with one another, driven as far back onto the properties as they possibly can for this application. And obviously the one next door.
Do we have any, you said we had pictures?
Yes.
I've been back here billions of times. Because remember, it kept going. Used to kept going right over to Miller's Way and come back around
Right.
Bruce's.
Right, and it's
So I've been up and down this a billion times. David?
On the whole, I think visibility is fairly minimal.
It's wide open, David. There's no foliage. You see right down in there. You see all the structures in there.
Maybe I need to go and look at it.
I think we need to do a viewing there
Yeah.
because there's absolutely no visibility from Old South Road.
That's not correct.
The whole lower level can't be seen at all.
That's my biggest issue is the lower level, but and that faces Old South Road.
It does, but you won't be able to see any of it.
I don't agree with that. So maybe put it on the view list.
I think the view.
That's what I was talking.
Go
Excuse
ahead.
me.
Silly me.
I'm not going here.
I think the window glazing in the dormers is oversized, both for the dormers and for the house. I think that ought to be downsized some, particularly as it faces Old South. I think it makes sense for us to go and get a viewing of this. But At the moment, at first glance at the drawings, that's my primary concern of those dormers.
Would you like us to put up height poles if this goes
I
through?
was going to say, they need to know where it is.
Each end of the ridge,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah. Dead center on each side. Anybody else have anything to add at this point?
Underground garage.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
That's why I think a viewing is important. It would be an element that I think you would be concerned about if you thought that there was any viewing aspect from a public way.
And the long fence is there because,
A long fence acts as a safety barrier or guardrail, so you don't fall down into that 8-foot deep ramp down to the sub-basement level.
Motion to review.
With 2 stakes, 2 ridge poles.
Two ridge poles.
At each side. All those in favor?
Aye.
2 poles, I already had that one done.
Thank you very much.
Mark, let them know, when do you guys want to know when the polls are up? You still doing noon on Friday for the polls, for the view packs? I think so.
We won't make it this Friday, I can guarantee you.
Oh, okay.
It says O's 139.20. I don't know who's coming out.
Says what?
O's 139.20.
Yeah, there's a thing on there, nobody paid the fee.
Oh, that's half the fee was paid, and the other part is being disputed with Andrew Gorse.
Why? It is what it is.
No, it isn't, but that's okay.
It's a secondary
You
dwelling.
and I will have a conversation about that. No, it's not a secondary
What
dwelling.
is it?
It's an ancillary structure.
And they're charging you secondary dwelling fee?
Yeah.
As opposed to a garage fee?
Yeah,
It should be a shop fee.
it should be a shop fee. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's what it should be, a shop fee.
Do you want me to write it?
What's clicked off on the application page?
It says garage, workshop, studio.
Yeah, it's not a dwelling.
No, we'll let the office do
So
that.
that's, but it's been hanging around, and we've been trying to figure out what the problem was. That's what the problem is.
I don't think it's something we should be intruding on.
Next.
Well, that's why it came back to me.
Okay.
All right, so this was held for viewing and polls, and it may or may not get on the list. Okay.
Do you want to go back to Mirka's 19 Mascot?
Which one did we skip?
Mirka's 19 Mascot?
The pool, and there was the,
Wait a minute. Yeah, 19 Massachusetts. Okay. That's back to number 9. Is that the only one we skipped
and
of yours?
Palmieri, I don't know if you...
They already went over one of them.
Oh, they did?
Yep. Oh, sorry.
What did we do with Palmieri? Revisions and representation, but it's revisions. You have to
Yeah.
have a chat, and I'm sure you know what the revisions are. 'Cause they're
Yeah,
not
I
getting
wanted
that
to...
fence.
No, I know.
I would prove that.
I didn't want to go for this application. That's why I'm like... But
So
they,
you and I will have a chat.
yeah, I can withdraw.
Yeah. This is going to have to happen.
Okay, so I apologize for not being here earlier, so
Okay,
thank you.
so go for it.
So,
Diane,
my-
those have to go back. David, what
Yes.
are those?
What?
Are those have to go back? I assume.
I know this little sheet over your shoulder. Just put it in my small ones. So,
All right, go for it.
So the application is for the pool only, and with the pool enclosure. So as you can see, the pool is located behind the building, screened with massacret, screened with the building from the massacret. The Nation is undeveloped street, so it's all just natural vegetation, and we're gonna keep it as much natural vegetation as it is. That's why we wanna practically we don't wanna clear anything, just what we have to. So if you go there, you will practically see pretty established vegetation. So for the pool itself, it will be regular bluestone patio and grade, then with the spa. Then for the fencing, what is always the question, so we are doing picket fence, natural to weather, everything what is parallel to massacret, connecting between the garage and the building, and then behind, kind of in front of the future pool house, that would be picket fence, and then the rest would be just wire in the vegetation. Once again, I understand the concern about the fence, but if you would see the site, it's pretty overgrown, so you practically will not see the fencing in the existing. We don't even need to do the screening, it's already there.
We've been out there several times, David, because of the house. Remember, all of this stuff was going to be in front of the house at one point, and now it's sort of going back behind the house. You got comments?
Are we only talking about the pool fencing and screening, not about the driveway in this application?
Well, I did include apron, practically apron and the hardscape for pavers itself, yes.
It's the shape of the driveway that we're talking about too, right, David?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Is a problem?
We said
Okay.
that
I've
to
got
a
no
long time
concerns
ago.
about what you want for the pool or the pool fencing. I think it's
Okay,
completely
thank you.
satisfactory. I think that out in that area, it ought to be a cobble apron, not Belgian block.
Hold on.
Okay.
And I'm concerned about the formality of the turnaround
Circle.
arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather see something that wasn't a complete circle.
So it still could be circle, but maybe not as perfect
I'm
formal?
not happy with a circle, but
Well, I think that
they're getting too many
I
of those.
understand why they want to sort of bring the cars a little bit close to the house to drop people off. But I think that perhaps it ought to be a three-point and back out the same way. I'm concerned about the formality of the full circular traffic circle on the site there.
If I make just comment, when you take a look at GIS maps, it's on that location. And it is just because client would like to have a circle driveway. And he kind of pulled a map and he showed me every another house has a circle driveway. So that's why he just asked me.
Can it get
for
smaller?
that.
Can I comment?
It's 3 lanes. Go ahead, Abby.
All right, I don't actually mind the circle driveway in this instance if it was the small pebble and not shell, because I think the shell would
Okay.
make it more of a contrast with the lawn and make it more obvious. But if it was a slightly smaller and that, what's that small stone called? That
Pea stone.
Pea stone, right?
Pea stone that would go with the cobble apron, I think it would be okay with maybe the circular design.
And I can definitely kind
All right,
of give a
stop.
little
Stop. Diane?
wall.
There's not that much screening on the mass going in. It's low, there's a lot of low brush stuff, but there are very few tall trees in that area.
They're planting.
The house at 21, you can see right up the driveway, the whole house, and this is right next door. There's scrub oak and that stuff, but no tall trees.
Yep.
I have a
Sometimes.
problem. Huh?
No, I don't want her to interrupt you.
I have a problem with the extent of the pool fence. It's, again, the whole usable supposedly backyard. You're supposed to be fencing off a pool, not fencing off a property line. So I will go by it and see what the height is of the stuff that's growing back there. But I think, and what is the fence that you're proposing?
It's a wire fence. With
Black
a
vinyl
PT.
wire
Set in
to the vegetation.
In the vegetation, yeah.
with wooden posts?
Yes, PC post.
I just, we see this all the time, and one of our things is that we try not to, fence off a whole area. I think that the pea stone, I was trying to think of what the driveway is going into 21, because the other driveway further up, 33 is, or 35 is the next other one that you see. So the pea stone would probably be a lot better than white catching your eye.
Well, it's white pea stone is what we're talking about.
We're talking about gray.
No, it's like beige.
Gray or
brown.
tan.
Yeah, it's
That's it.
just natural
Yeah.
rock
Yeah.
color, not white.
Not white.
No.
Yeah.
And you could also put some of that, what is it, what's the natural trees around there, like a Russian-
And they are actually pre-existing, the pines, big pines, even on the street, pretty mature screening. There are pine, there are scrub oaks, there are viburnum. It's pretty heavy
pines-
as
All
of
right.
now.
I go by that every time. Those pines have the Nantucket hoo-hoo white worm.
They're 20-year
disease.
lifespan, but the
Well,
cedars are a lot longer.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they're dying.
So let's move on here. I agree with David. I don't think the perimeter, this is not a perimeter fence. Now that the people are moving them in 5, 10, 15, 20 feet off the property line, it was the perimeter fence that we had problems with, and we're carrying this problem over way too far. when they bring it in off the property lines, which is what we've had the problem with, is running around the entire perimeter.
But you can vote against.
Right, I'm just
me.
saying
only
why
one
I'm not
person.
as crazed as I was about the perimeter fence, because we've asked them over and over to bring it in, which they've done. This is a relatively small area on a road that's not going to be cut and embedded in foliage back there, which they're going to plant because they don't want to see it. And I'd rather have that than a fence running around in the middle of the backyard, which is actually going to draw attention to it. So I'd rather have it heavily screened and embedded than have this wandering fence in the middle of, like, out of context. I do agree with David on the cobblestones, but I think there might be a way to get a driveway here if it wasn't like 3 lanes wide. I think that's the
not
biggest
helping
problem.
it. According to the satellite view, this would be the only circular driveway on that side of the street.
This isn't big enough for us to see anything, so don't bother. It's not big enough for us to see anything. You'd have to bring in much closer for us to see the other ones out there. But I agree with David, it's just too big and too massive.
Other side of the street.
But guys,
I chose my words carefully.
Guys, as far as pea stone, which makes a lot of noise, and that's why people don't use it a lot, versus shell, which has been used a lot longer than pea stone on Nantucket, 90% of the older driveways are shell. We're going to start not allowing shell now?
No.
Now, I will say, out in that neighborhood,
Go to 20. Go to 20 Nantucket.
Fancy phone.
yeah, you know, you can the shell driveways just shout out at you. Most of it
Those
is
on shell, that's the white pea stone. Shell has got a deeper color because you got a lot of gray in it. When the shell is broken, it's gray and white and brown and everything else.
lighter
That's
this
pea
time.
stone, because we had the same in our driveway. That's white pea stone,
well,
which is like this
don't-
big,
yeah,
1
you
inch.
don't want the marble chips. You want the, I think they call it bank run gravel. It's a tan color.
They don't
You
use
get
it
something
because
like
out there
that.
because it's so damn loud. That's why you won't find any of that gravel out there. None of them.
God's country. I don't think we're worried about
None of them
tires on
have gravel. Okay? None of them.
Yes, I've been told that.
So, yes, you have. I was just out there for another reason.
Yeah, sounds like you were annoyed by some noisy.
Oh, yes, I was. That's why our neighbors paved. Both neighbors on both sides of me
I don't know
paved.
why you're driving around with the windows down this time of year, but
And you can
Yeah.
always tell when people are coming home because you hear the driveway.
I don't have any gravel on my street
so I think we ought to
anymore.
wrap this up. Where are we
So
going,
where are you going
folks?
with this? They have to redesign the driveway, David.
Then let's hold it for revision, Sally.
But to the pool, the pool on no concern, practically, just focus on the driveway?
You're losing David after Tuesday.
You all right
And
on
we're
the
already in
pool
trouble
fencing?
with this.
Actually, it's kind of natural, it's more naturalistic than the one you had the other day. The one you had the other day was like a square lot of green grass. At least this is sort of more
Give you an
naturalistic.
indication of where to go with the other one. All right, so what do you want to do here? That leaves Abby and myself.
Motion to hold for revision.
David's made a motion to hold for revisions. At least Abby's okay with the pool fence. That's where you were headed, really.
Okay.
So David's made a motion to hold for revisions. All those in favor?
Thank you.
Okay, that was Fogarty number 9. And somebody want to make a motion to hold Hummock Pond Association till the beginning of Tuesday? I'll get a hold of him. He was here at one point.
So moved.
So David's made a motion to hold Hummock Pond, which is number 5, Terry, to Tuesday for representation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Was there anything else we skipped?
Yeah, what about 11 Crooked?
Where's that?
We're going to view that, I thought.
Which one is 11
We're
Crooked?
doing 113 West Chester.
That's a view. 11 Crooked, 113 Westchester's a view.
Right.
11 Crooked's number 4,
Where is it?
under Old Business.
Oh, Brescher.
Via by.
He,
Was it a show? So,
no,
He didn't
no,
come.
he did. We got him.
oh,
He's being held for revisions. That's Luke Thornwell came in.
no, that was BTC.
DPC.
I've got Brescher on number 4, which is
No, you
Thornwell.
look on old business.
Oh, back to old business.
Is Botticelli?
Via.
He has an issue because John is not here. There's a quorum issue.
So we can't.
So that's going to Tuesday. It's David, myself, and John. No? Yes.
You need to make sure you get to that Tuesday.
Yeah, and he wasn't going, he's putting in, he got a whole new thing going with this now. So that's going to Tuesday. And I think that's it, right?
Looks like it.
Does somebody want to make a motion? What?
Commissioner, if you wouldn't mind, would you mind maybe open this pulmonary and then we can like shut it out? Like, you just can tell me what.
You want to do what?
The pulmonary applications about what they will not get the board
Fence.
There was the fence. They're not getting a 6-foot fence on the road.
No, I know.
But if they want to, if you want to put it back in for a cat picket to continue the one they already have around there, that's fine.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, that's all it
I
was.
hear from you because.
Yeah, that's all it was. There's no way on this planet, put it that way. They're going to get a 6-foot fence on Quaker Road.
Thank you.
All right. So somebody want to make a motion before we go to the Stop and Shop? Come on out. On December 3rd, 10th, February 4th, 18th, March 13th, 18th, and 25th. They have to get going.
Motion to approve.
David's made a motion to approve those minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm abstaining. Okay. So we're reviewing March 27th. Other business, we're doing a preliminary review. Come on up. That's David, Abby, Diane, and myself. Unfortunately, he's gone.
Oh.
So do what you can. I have to make a pit stop. Go ahead and keep going. David, I'm going to leave it with you for a second.
Okay. This is a preliminary review of the drawings for the new Stop and Shop on Pleasant and Sparks. It will be the first time that Diane and Abby have had a chance to look at the drawings. So let me give you a chance to introduce the project and familiarize them with it.
Sure.
And introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Matthew McEachern with Emeritus Development.
I'm Tom Scott with Scott Griffin Architects.
Scott, you said?
Scott Griffin Architects, yeah.
And I'm Deborah Farr with Stop and Shop.
How do you spell your last name?
Farr.
So I'll just give you a brief synopsis. So Diane, you haven't seen any of this before. We've been working on this internally for a few weeks now, but obviously you know that the Stop and Shop is planning to build a new store essentially where the parking lot is now and eventually demolish the existing store itself. And it's going to happen through a phased process. But in terms of orienting yourself, I don't know if it makes sense in terms of where the orientations are. But that opening page, Diane and Abby, just for your reference, is actually a view from Pleasant Street. So this face here will be facing the parking, and this is Pleasant Street. And you'll see that they've actually rendered the fire station back there just for a...
So this is where you enter now. It's right behind that tree.
Exactly, yeah. Yep, correct.
So
correct.
is that going to be the front, or is this going to be the front?
Well, this is one of the interesting challenges of this project, because essentially the building is going to be visible on all four sides.
Right.
Probably three primarily, and fourth side being where it lines up against the fire station. So this facade here will present itself to the parking lot. So I just want to get your orientation here first. This is Pleasant, this is fire station, and this is where the existing building is now. So this is conveniently located.
Yep.
So the building is...
Does this help?
Yeah, that'd be great, yeah.
The building is moving south.
No. It's moving.
I think that graphic shows it pretty
Here's
accurately.
the existing store, so here's Lower Pleasant, and here's Sparks Ave.
Right.
So the new store is just going to be facing the existing store.
Right, this is all the parking lot now.
Right.
And this is going to become the front parking lot. And this is going to be the parking on Park Street.
No, this is Sparks, that'll
Right.
stay. This is what it'll look like at the end. The existing store is right here.
It's going to be, in the end result, it's going to be all parking.
Correct.
Okay. And,
Right.
And so you're going to flip
That's
store.
exactly right. We're going to flip it. It's a better way to put it.
So next summer, or For here, this is where the major parking is going to be on Spark?
For this store.
For this
the
store,
small
right.
store, right.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense, Abby.
And the entrance going to be the same entrance that we've always used, or when this is,
The
Or the
entrance,
next
there
year.
are also going to be an entrance down here and this entrance in here.
that's
Correct.
usually an exit?
Yeah, we're going to change it. The inside of the store will be remodeled to be truncated to get it to fit in there.
Okay, so you're going to come in here, and you're going to go out here? Okay.
And you'll park here.
Right.
This parking.
So this is this west?
If these people park, they're going to have to walk all the way down to this?
Yeah, the fencing will run along here, so they'll be on.
Which elevation is
There won't be, you can't make an entrance up here too?
No, well, not the way that it lays out because they're interior
This
cases
yeah,
along that
yeah.
wall.
These are all
It just seems like a long walk in
Yeah.
the snow and the rain.
It'll be, but the bulk of the parking will be down here.
You haven't been here in the summertime.
I have, and I know it's crazy. That's why this will be done in the winter during
My
the,
shopping's going to turn to 11 o'clock at night from the time. And I have a handicapped car, so that's...
yeah, so
you've got
you'll
4
be right there.
spaces?
1, 2, 3, yeah, there's 4 spaces.
4 spaces.
Yep.
Because in the summertime, those are used all the time.
Yeah, the construction will occur during the winter months. So
Not-
next summer, you'll have a nice big brand new parking lot.
Okay.
I think you took
Well, I've seen the parking lot stuff before. But this looks a lot better than the first one you did.
Yeah.
I do.
That's the way I
So Dave, if I could just kind of walk through, Abby and Diane, do you feel you have a general understanding of this orientation?
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. So hopefully this one isn't confusing. Do you have another one of these? Another one that she has?
I think that's the only one I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing I think it's worth pointing out, and if it's clear, this is the new building, this is the old building here. One of the challenges of the building is that it has visibility on 3 sides. You've got it on Pleasant Street, Sparks, and from within the parking lot itself. The 4th elevation is the back side of the building, which abuts the fire station currently. So it's a challenge. It's also a large-scale building, which is another challenge. So the way that we dealt with this, let me just talk about kind of phase 2 future development of this parcel here. We don't really know what's going to happen with this parcel, but I would anticipate that whoever purchases it, my hope, and I think that it's almost lends itself well to this, is that whatever develops here will develop that's in a way that it's almost like back-to-back. Because I would submit to you that this rotary and this parcel in particular has some kind of facilitates a role of presenting itself first if you're coming to the Mid-Island area. And so if you were to develop this, you'd probably want to have the orientation towards the rotary. So the reason I bring this up is that this backside, I think, ultimately is not going to be as visible, and it's a more utilitarian portion of the building itself. So the architecture actually follows suit. But in terms of visibility, I think that out of all 4 elevations, this one over long term will be less visible. Having said that, we still have to design it so that it's not unappealing. Secondly,
Matt, is that comment consistent with the Mid-Island area plan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it was my understanding that the intention was to try to have the buildings up on the street with the parking behind. So if that parcel fell into separate ownership, I would assume that the building would be going up to the street, and there was some fair likelihood that the parking would go against the back of the grocery store, which would leave that elevation fully exposed to view.
That's where you can't really control what happens there. So that certainly is a possibility. I would say that this parcel is unique in that it's not an infill parcel, and that it's visible on all 3 sides. It's delta-shaped, and I think that it actually has a specific role in the larger picture of Mid-Island, and so that certainly could happen.
I think in the Mid-Island plan, they showed, because we had as you know, we had looked at trying to get that
Yes.
parcel in the past. There was a requirement, and you're correct, David, to have some liner buildings
Mhm.
right at the point part, but there was a building, because it was going to be ours, that came back here with the parking in the middle. So this would still, if you had some retail in here and then had the liner building and the parking in the middle.
I just hesitate to draw any conclusions about the visibility of that back surface. It's so indeterminate as to what's going to happen that I think we need to assume that we can live with it if it turns out it's exposed.
Yeah, right, because I think a grocery store is a grocery store. I think one of the
Right.
objections we had to the first plans were they made it look like a little, Christmas tree shop, bunch of buildings, and if it's a clean facade, it's a grocery store, that's what we are.
Sure. And I think, David's comment is correct. Having said all of that, we still have, developed that elevation so that it is something that...
It's not a bad elevation.
It's not a terrible elevation. We've worked actually pretty hard.
It could be trellis, it could be any number of things until something goes
Sure.
takes the place of the fire.
Right, I think the key thing is that, we were told and directed, typically the back of our stores are painted cinder block walls, that would not work here. So
Right.
it's a completely finished with its own roof line and scale back in the store.
We've actually spent a lot of time.
Loading, how do you?
The loading is actually over here on what I would call the south side of the property.
Those two garages are going to be, two garage doors, they're not going to be used for loading or anything?
They will be used for loading. That is where the loading zone will be.
So your big 18-wheelers will come in there?
Yes. Yep, that's the current plan. So,
I
yep,
think it's worth noting, too, that idea of the planning board had of opening up the shopping area so it's presenting a friendly face to the Lower Pleasant Street Trust
that's, yep.
area, and that we're going to try to reach an arrangement with them where we have a cut-through so that there's shared parking, and this idea that people will start to use the Mid-Island more like they do town, where they go, you would go and you'd park and you'd maybe walk to Teresa's and Geronimo's and Stop and Shop, and that there'd be interior circulation.
Yep.
And with some landscaping, et cetera, you'd end up with a more friendly sort of interior.
Maybe it will end up being a park.
Could be, right?
I think you...
A car park, yes.
Well, we do have our small version of a park. along
There is a park.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do is just kind of go around the building just to kind of talk about, because I think the architecture supports each one of these, areas. Sarah's point is correct. I mean, the planning board has directed, there's, kind of two phases. You can see, I think that this site plan shows it, that with this building gone, there is the opportunity to actually connect these and connect these with pedestrian walkways. The other thing that the planning board suggested we do is that on the facade that faces Pleasant Street, to make it as pedestrian-friendly as possible, to create some sense of street life there, if you will. And they didn't want the facade of the building to specifically face the parking lot, although that is part of a long-term plan there. So in terms of the way that the building presents itself, we've got the Pleasant Street facade, the parking lot facade, and then we've got the south, which is the loading zone. And so as far as the building is concerned and the architecture is concerned, what we try to do is have each portion of the building correlate to the use of the structure itself. So for example, the loading zone and the more utilitarian portions of the building run along, which would be along the fire department side and the Sparks Ave side. And then essentially what we try to do is create the Pleasant Street side, which presents itself to the road. It's got a colonnade, a pergola, and it's actually got two entrances. One is the liquor store entrance, and one is an entrance into the store itself. Again, with the, I don't know if it's a liquor store, if that's a proper terminology, but if you notice that it actually has its own architectural language. Beer and wine shop. So we had initially started with a very monolithic structure, if you will, And then over time, it's developed into a series of assemblies of buildings. What we've tried to do, I think maybe if we start on the side that faces the parking lot, which would be west, I think that actually sums things up relatively well as a starting point anyways. I would say if you had to identify a primary mass of the building, it would be the gable-facing portion of the west elevation that runs along Pleasant Street side. And again, that actually has a specific architectural language in terms of its trim detail, some of the kind of more rural vernacular, if you will.
I've only got pictures.
Yep. You want me to go through with the
Never mind,
the
I got
renderings?
it. I got it.
You have various 3Ds and you have
I think
various
it's like your
flats.
third to last page. Do you see that? So we'd be on the front or west elevation. So if you look at the first two elements here, we've got this main gable here that actually, I'd say actually plays the most important role in terms of the overall composition because it has a presence both on the west elevation, the parking lot side, but on its eave side, it runs along Pleasant Street. And so I think it helps to kind of define that corner on both elevations. It actually links those two elevations. But moving towards the south, you'll see that we've got a secondary additive mass that emulates the same architectural language. The idea here is that we're trying to tell a story of additive massing. At that point, you'll see that the fenestration changes to actually 6/6 is a smaller window division pane. And then actually the final massing element is a secondary entrance on the west elevation. You'll notice that the trim details actually change somewhat significantly. They go to a plumb cut rake. It's a flying rake. It's got a little bit more of a rural vernacular. Not rural entirely, but it's also got clapboard on the front gable, and it actually turns the corner onto Sparks Ave. And the idea here is that this is our longest elevation, and it faces west in our parking lot. And so the key was, how do we take an elevation that long and break it up into a convincing assembly of parts? And this was our solution, and I think it's actually relatively successful given the parameters. Going down to the next elevation, it's called left north, and it's the Pleasant Street elevation. You'll see that first main mass is actually the gable face on the west. And again, I'd say that if you're going to experience the building, it's this building that you'll experience first, and all these other pieces kind of play off of it. We tried to keep the masses, I'd say, somewhat simple in terms of their overall definition, not too chopped up, if you will. The secondary mass on that elevation, which is to the left of that north elevation, is the beer and wine shop, if you will. And again,
Sorry, this is Sparks.
Yep, Sparks. Okay. Yep. So that last little section there is on Pleasant is the actual beer and wine shop. And again, you'll see that it's a different use, it's a different typology, and it's a different massing language. And so that was intentional, so that each of these uses has its own architectural language that's expressed both in detail and massing. So I think those are your two, in terms of hierarchy, I'd say that those are your two most visible elevations. And you can reference, I would continually reference those two drafted elevations to the 3D renderings to give you an idea of what the overall concept is. Staying on that same elevation, we've received a lot of feedback from the planning board about the strong desire to create a colonnade or a covered walkway, if you will, along that elevation. And we looked at a number of different incarnations, and we felt that this pergola was the best solution. It filters sunlight, creates definition of a colonnade, but it doesn't actually compete with the overall architecture.
Where's the pergola you're referring to?
It's on the left/north elevation on Pleasant Street. It's got those little cross buck supports.
You're
Second
calling
elevation.
the left elevation the north?
That's the way it's
The Pleasant Street
Yeah.
elevation?
Yep.
Faces east, right?
Okay, I didn't.
I thought
The back of the thing faces east.
Yeah. You don't have pergola on
The front of the store faces
There's
west.
one.
Pleasant Street is on the north.
It's on the colors. No, it's on the black and white.
Okay.
Which one?
It's this.
That has the pergola on it.
No,
Yes.
they're right, Tom.
Pergola's gone, right?
No.
Where is it? That'd be on the northeast, northwest side then.
Okay.
I thought we took the pergola off. What's this?
This is a more recent set, yeah.
All right.
Is everybody looking at the same set?
I think you've got an older set.
Yeah, I mean, I know that what I'm looking at here hasn't changed since I saw it last time.
The pergola,
all right. No, I don't have that.
a long time ago, we said no pergolas on Pleasant Street.
I know you did.
And I'm not going back off that.
Okay.
That needs to have the overhang extended like they do on the building that you have now.
Can I take this one away so it's not confusing?
It's
Yeah.
okay.
Take that one away. Take anything away that was
Kind of seems like colored one.
David, give
That's
him
not
back.
correct.
David, give him back the other one.
Yeah, this, I was surprised to see.
That pergola's not going to happen.
All right. So, now that we all have the same set,
Good idea.
to that point, Linda, about the pergola, we looked at a number of different options for extending that roof line, and we felt that they were all incredibly unsuccessful. And I know that you specifically said you didn't want to see the pergola, and we can show you the different solutions.
What about doing what they have on the building now?
What's that?
That extends right over the colonnade now. We're not asking for a 25-foot colonnade.
Yeah.
What they have right now is like 10 feet at the most, if that.
I think this is only 8 feet.
Yeah.
I think what we'll do
They
is,
extend the roof, is what they did.
we could provide an option to show you what that would look like, but we thought that this was successful. And the other reason we thought this was successful is that it ties into the park, if you will. But we can get to that.
Not on Pleasant Street. I can probably go there on the parking lot side.
So,
And it doesn't give you what we're asking for, which is a thing to sit under and stand under in bad weather, which is what they use the other one for now.
right,
That's not, the pergola's not going to give you anything.
right.
So as far as I'm concerned, that's the biggest problem on the design for me right now.
Okay.
You may hear stuff from everybody else, but I haven't seen it.
I'm more familiar, Diane, and Abby to it as well, so I'm just going through the different elevations. So now that we're all looking at the same one, David, you see that we've got the updated version. You know what I'm talking about with the pergola, correct?
Can't miss it.
Yeah, I can see the
Okay.
pergola.
So what I'd like to do is just kind of go through all the elevations and then listen to comments. All right, so having gone through the left elevation / north, I think we've covered pretty much everything there. Moving to the rear elevation, the east, again, that's the side that would abut the fire station. And there's actually a second level utilitarian mezzanine. And so actually it's been one of the bigger challenges how we navigate that. And this is the solution we came up with to break up the masses in a way that's not symmetrical and has some sense of randomness to it, if you will. Again, trying to have the architecture emulate the function. It's not the most. There's not a whole lot happening back there, but I think that's kind of the idea. Going around to the right elevation south, which is south and/or Sparks Ave, you can see if you reference the front elevation, and if you look at the right side of the front elevation, you'll see that there's that building mass with the 6/6s, or it's actually those look like. Yeah, I think there's 6/6s with the transom. You'll see that architectural language. We wanted to actually have it run consistent and turn the corner, which it does on the south elevation. We also made a departure with the dormer style, went with a gable dormer.
Yeah, I missed that completely.
So if you go from...
We asked you to bring some of the windows around this corner. There aren't any.
We could do that. So if you take this elevation here, that's clapboard on the front. Those are 6 lights. We did the shed. It turns the corner here.
What does?
This material type,
Yeah.
leather type.
This
Just for
whole
the
side
doors.
clapboard?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. The idea being that what we're trying to do is take that mass and have it read as if it was a not entirely different language, but different so that it doesn't feel as it's too contrived, if you will. If we, any suggestions you have in terms of adding fenestration, you're certainly open to those. Finally, you've got the loading area, and again, that expresses itself at its own individual mass. David, we did do a number of studies that included the projected covered entryway there. Do we have those?
Yeah,
And in the end, it looked pretty large. I don't know if you can see this from here, David. I'll pass it over. But
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
we extended the gable off the facade
Does it have to be that tall?
Yes, for the trucks.
for the.
I thought the trucks were going downhill there, so they're actually
They're
shorter.
going slightly downhill, but it's still got the top has to be.
We omitted it from this presentation only because we thought that it started to compete and become a little bit
Big thing,
busy.
right?
Yeah, big thing, yeah, because we're trying to minimize that, that side with the neighbors.
Elevation drawing.
You know, I noticed on your elevation that you are, where the loading docks are, that you ramp down so that you can unload at floor level. But you're ramping down, all happens just in front of the loading dock. If you ramp down out here, presumably you could drop that structure because you'd ramp down before you went underneath that roof, not after.
But your first floor would be lower than the floor that it's got to be unloaded on. It'd be lowered to a level that's below the first floor, which is what they're trying to get rid of at the planning board anyway. You don't want a subterranean. You want it to go right into the first floor level.
I'm not changing that.
So how you...
What I'm saying is what's holding that, what's holding the roof
It would
up
lower the whole thing.
is the fact that you've got to clear the truck. Then what you do is, instead of ramping down tight to that roof, is you ramp down out here, so that the truck is at the fully lower level before it runs underneath the roof.
Could I ask a question? I know when at the planning board, we were trying to minimize the invasiveness of that side of the building and the proximity to the neighbors across the street. And if the concern is that, to screen it, is there some other way to screen it with vegetations or something that would be a softer buffer for them than just adding mass onto the building?
What'd you say? Vegetation would work, certainly.
Right.
You have to watch your sight at that point.
Yeah.
Or the trucks coming out the back of the fire department as well as whatever's
coming
happening on
out.
that other entrance.
Yep, good point.
So what's the height of the trucks that you're having to accommodate?
So we need about 14 feet clear
14 to 16
to
feet.
get the truck
I was gonna say,
underneath.
you know.
Yeah.
And you're going down 3 feet to unload, or 42
It's 4
inches?
feet. It's 4 feet.
4 feet. So you're only projecting 10 feet above grade then to the top of the truck. So your eave could
10
be
feet above that dip, because it dips.
It has to
4
get
feet.
down
Right.
under the roof,
Right.
the whole
Yeah.
truck.
Right.
35 feet has to get underneath that
I
roof.
get it.
But I think if we grade that out, we might pick up a foot or two, but we won't pick up the whole 4 feet.
Matt, what's the eave height on the loading dock projection?
If I had to guess, I'd say around from grade, not from that.
Yeah.
From the average grade, it's
From
probably
sales floor grade.
It's probably 12.
Yeah.
Probably 12 or 13.
That's
It looks
right.
like more.
I'm going to say like 14, 15 myself.
I was going to say 14 or 15 too.
Yeah.
And so if you're able to go down 4 feet and drop the truck height by 4 feet, you could drop that roof by 4 feet, which would make a significant difference. One thing about the sketch you're showing us is that the eave of that projected cover comes right off the bottom of the gable. And if what Matt is saying is correct, you can drop it 4 feet. I assume the garage doors going into the loading dock represent roughly the top of the truck.
That's approximately right. So the door's usually an 8-foot-high door, and there's a 4-foot drop. So that's 12.
So like 2 feet above that. I think you could, if you work at it, you can reduce that impact from what you've shown us.
Well, I think you can from the height. I guess my concern is still the length of it and having the mass of the building being that close to the street.
Well, as you run that out, the place where the building is close to the street is the right-hand corner of your loading dock building.
Right.
As you run toward the front of your store,
Right, it goes off
you
at
get
an
further and further away from the street because the street's running at an angle.
We could probably drop this gable map 2 feet.
Yeah.
Well, you raised that gable.
We did push it up.
Intentionally.
Intentionally, because we were trying to create...
No,
Yeah,
we were trying to create a difference in elevation, so it looked like a different building.
Which, where are we now?
On the loading dock, on the,
Are you just doing a circuit training?
Gotta get my exercise somewhere.
Good. I like how small it is, and they've got it cut back, because one of my concerns at the planning board was that it used to be much bigger here, at an angle coming off flush with the back of the building. It would took out any visibility of trucks coming out of the fire department, coming that direction on the ramp, as well as visibility. And I like how tiny this little piece is now. And I am torn between what we thought about before, about the overhang, and not having another flat wall there on Pleasant Street, which is what the neighbors are complaining about now.
Okay.
So they're not going to be able to have their cake and eat it too. Either it's covered or we screen it. But either the truck's going to be visible or it's not going to be visible.
There's some big buts, though.
Yeah.
Because if you look at this rendering of the loading dock,
Which one are you on now?
Last
south
page.
rendering,
I got it.
Last page.
bottom rendering, last page.
The fence is a real concern. I have that circled. You can't do a 6-foot fence on the road.
If I can speak,
Yeah.
you have to imagine that the normal condition is going to be there's at least a truck there.
Yeah.
Okay, and that tractor-trailer truck we've just established is 2 feet higher than the top of the doors that you're looking at. So the body of that truck is going to be a substantial presence on the street. So while I think that a lot has been accomplished in reshaping and rescaling the building into which the groceries are being discharged, I think there's a lot of work to do yet to screen the truck presence on the street, which is going to be significant if it's approved the way it's being shown here. So I think it's something still to look at. I mean, I will say that we had earlier questions about whether or not it was going to be a problem to have essentially blank walls along the side of the loading bay. And I think, in fact, that simple wall with the 3 dormers is quiet and attractive, and I'm not looking for much more.
I was looking for whatever's going on the front of that gable, to bring those, the half windows or whatever is around, just around that corner about 20 feet.
Yeah.
So there's some dressing of that corner. And then the rest can stay blank.
I think some of that's fine. That, brings me to a concern that I've got about the complex as a whole, which is that although this new presentation has taken some important steps to differentiate the parts, there's still a feeling that this is something of a strip mall that was folded in the middle and wrapped around the corner. The glazing has begun to be different as opposed to the first look we had, but it's still similar enough, and there's still obvious things that that don't make sense. For example, you've got, the big thing is that the eave still runs pretty consistently across the west elevation and around the corner onto Pleasant Street on the north elevation. The gable treatment is very much the same as you wrap around. You've got a string course that runs underneath the windows that's running pretty consistently from building to building on the parking lot side and the Pleasant Street side. On the gables, you've got this very unusual detail where the gable itself projects rather significantly, 3 feet, say, and then you've got a pent roof underneath it that joins the 2 bottoms of the gable. It's a detail that is rarely seen on island, and we had talked about treating these gables as separate elements so that this looked like an assemblage that showed additive massing, much like we would want if we were looking at a large house. The commonality of that detail treatment is still running against the sense that we're looking at a frontage which is an assemblage of buildings that were added to over time. I think the dormers still share much too much in common. For example, the three dormers over the liquor store on the Pleasant Street elevation appear to me essentially identical to the three dormers on the west elevation facing the garage. If these are separate buildings built at separate times, that never happened. I'm really happy because the first time we looked at it, all the dormers were the same. So we're moving the right way, but we've got more to go.
David, I just want to break in for a second. You've seen this. Diane and Abby have not had any chance to say anything. You and I are probably going to keep having the conversation with them. But Diane and Abby have not had a chance to say anything about anything. And I think they need to hear from two people they have not heard from.
I think that's true.
So I'd like to hold our comments.
I wanted to give some sense of what the discussion has been, but I'm happy to give the floor to those two.
All right, Diane, this is your first crack at this.
Well, I can see what David's been talking about with the different dormers. However, I have one point, and I said it before when we looked at the first plant, I said it again today. This is a grocery store. And basically, I think that's what it should look like. It should not look like a store that was there 100 years ago, and then 50 years ago we added something. I think that it is what it is, and not to be cutesy, to try and make it something else. I'm not so necessary of having so much additive massing. I think that the fire station wall is a long wall. I would probably not have wished it to run along the fire station area because that's the first thing they're going to see coming out of the rotary is see that wall. I would have preferred perhaps to have it changed. But then again, if you put this against Park Street, which in the original drawings, that's where the wall was, it cuts off the openness of Spark Street at that area. I understand the loading and that thing on Sparks Avenue and the necessity to have the trucks coming out of there because of the fire trucks. And I think it's a very simple wall of the building, which is not bad. I think from what I originally saw to this has been much more successful. I think that perhaps in some of the stuff we're getting very unsimple, like the main entrance. I think the main entrance should have the greatest visibility and the other two be smaller or less deep. You're going to enter where it says Stop and Shop, right?
Correct.
So my mind goes, when you're looking at it, goes to the left.
Well, that's an entrance as well. The store, to make better use of the parking lot so that you don't have to walk across the entire parking lot. There are two entrances in the store, one at each end of the building. So there are two entrances.
And neither one is more preference than the other?
Nope.
The planning board, Andrew and Leslie wanted a heavy presence on Pleasant Street.
Okay, so that's going to give you the one under the cupola.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's going in what I would consider a good direction. And I think the covered walkway, this is an exit or entrance?
Both.
both going in and out. Is that going to be sort of the main one coming in off the parkings?
No, that faces Pleasant Street, but I think that from a planning board perspective, as an incentive.
They wanted,
They want it to be a usable street, not just a kind of a false
Right.
facade, if you will.
I don't know whether a covered walkway would be better going along here if this is the parking lot, which is going to be the main entrance. But this is where you want to have people be able to sit and stand rather than this way. I think not in conjunction with your drawing of the buildings, but it's going to be a long time before you can convince me that Nantucket people, unless they've changed an awful lot, are going to walk around from Geronimo's to the Stop and Shop in the middle of winter in a snowstorm. They drive. They drive from the Stop and Shop to Island Pharmacy, which is across the street, because that's what we do. And we have always done that. And we're going to still do it. So you can have all the parking, all the walking facilities that you want to have, but people are going to drive. But the basic design of this building, I think is good.
Thank you.
Were you down there?
Yeah, I'm still there. I like the south elevation. It's nice, it's simple. I'm a little worried about the trucks getting in and out and backing out. And I'm sure you've done your homework, but I don't know how many bays you have now, but just 2 bays, and the trucks turning in and turning around, and are they going to interfere with the circulation of the...
Linda's made us do our homework at the planning board.
Okay, all right, so I'll leave that, because you obviously taken that into...
They still got to get through us.
Yeah.
We've got engineering plans, drainage plans,
Yeah.
screening plans,
Yeah.
parking plans.
Yeah.
A lot of it will be back through here when they're firm.
Okay, well, that was my first worry, but I'll leave that in your hand. But I do like that south elevation. I think it's simple. I know it's huge, but anyway. And the east elevation, it does seem like a long ridge line from these two gables.
I know what you're saying. We introduced that gable that almost kind of has a 2-story appearance to it, just to kind of break that up. I don't know if you feel like maybe there should be more or less. Or...
Yes, maybe break that up somehow, and also maybe bring the wall itself in and out so that it's not a flat wall. It looks, and there's not a lot of undulation. It looks like a very long flat wall.
Yeah, so this is, this projects.
Yeah, it does. It's hard to see on the flat. It does project.
I think you're suggesting that there's more.
When you first handed out those first elevations, I liked them very much. I don't know what's missing from these, but I thought when I first glanced at your first attempt, looked really good and architecturally.
Yeah.
I'm not as enamored of these, but I think it's still a really good attempt at a very big building, and I think you've done a really good job.
Can I add one more thing when you finish, or maybe you have the same
I
idea?
just want to say about the cupola, I don't mind it because I think it might actually help to make it a center of attention.
How many walls have you got clabbered, or is that just...
There's just the one, currently
I don't think
it's just 2.
I mean, I think it could be kind of interesting to mix up the material.
Not on the Spark side.
So it's here on this facade, right?
Yeah.
And then it goes around the corner. So this gable mass is this.
Okay.
So it
All
turns
right,
the
yeah.
corner.
And the rest is shingle.
Rest is shingle. There's a banding detail that we start and stop here. I mean, again, if I had to identify how these buildings kind of developed, we would just show you, like this and this, would hypothetically are one model. This is an addition off the back.
Right.
And then you have this freestanding building, which is here and here. That's kind of the secondary, primary association of masses. And then you've got this link
then you've got
But
the
then the
loading
truck
zone.
starts,
right.
And you've got these kind of connector pieces here. So that was the concept, is to try and say,
Yeah,
and it's
I
not
can-
so symmetrical. And then I also think identifying with the cupola and the primary mass at the corner, actually takes away, if you had put that focus as this in the center of this assembly, the building would have this perception of being this massive piece,
Yes,
whereas it
well,
almost seems like it's this
this
kind of
goes
larger
from
scale
here to
piece.
here.
Yeah, and then there was all these later kind of assemblies. And I think, Linda and David have pointed out very astutely, you don't want to be too cute about it. So it's been this fine line for us. I think they were more eloquent when they said it's than cute, but
I said cute.
Cute is
No, I said Disney World.
Disney or Disneyfication.
Yeah.
I think is the word.
One or the other. But I think you have to use shingles a lot.
Yeah.
What I would like the board's sort of consensus on, it's a lot easier when we sit around on a big project like this to sit around and kibitz. When you get into the formal application phase, you have to follow Robert's rules, you have to follow certain statutes. Would it be productive to have them come back for another preliminary review before they make a formal application, so we can get it as close to formal application time as possible? Right, because the minute they go into formal application time, we got very limited ability to deal with this quite as well as we're dealing with it now. And plus, we don't have John and we don't have Dawn. And we have, Ray has seen
We don't
it.
have
Ray
Ray.
has seen it, so he's familiar with the
No, I
the
think
other
it would
one.
be a very good idea if they wouldn't mind to come back once again, and that will pull up some of the stuff we've talked about.
'Cause this is
And maybe
productive.
cite it with coming down on a sheet that we can all see with
Yeah.
the now and the to be.
Sure.
And a couple of arrows showing where you go in and out, exit and entrances, so that we can see how it's going to sit on the property.
Sure.
You can see a better site plan. There are site plans at the planning board, but
Yeah, I
we
think
could
we'll
use it gives you context of how this is all working.
Also, I would suggest maybe we print out like 24 by 36 inch boards, and then we do.
Well, can
we
you
can
do
do
PowerPoint?
We can do PowerPoint.
It
Yeah.
takes a whole other person to set that up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a good thing we paid for it, though.
Yeah, isn't it though? Isn't it though? We gotta call the powers that be to come turn it on.
It's,
Good to you, sorry.
it goes along with the pool and the exercise
Right,
rooms and
right.
the rest.
So what I think we'll do
It's
is,
on PowerPoint on your laptop, though, could you not?
yeah,
Yes,
you
you
could.
can.
Maybe I'll ask, but maybe at a minimum, what we'll do is we'll get
That's
the
just a lot of hoorah for nothing.
presentation boards. We'll do
Because
24
here
by
we can
36
sit around the
inch,
table and just
then
throw stuff around the
sketch it.
table,
we
and
can just
this
number
is
the
a pain in
sheets
the
so you can kind
butt.
of follow along.
It's very formal,
Right.
very
do
focused,
that.
very
Yeah.
linear.
Yeah,
That,
sounds good.
I think that would be good. It would be good for us, and I think it
Yeah.
would be good for you.
There's a lot to digest, so this is a kind of a first go around.
So does this help you all?
Yeah, I think so.
I do think so. I think the one challenge I'd say,
Is it, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that the format that they're offering is a benefit to you and us, because in a formal meeting setting, if this was a Tuesday, Wednesday night, we could easily occupy 35, 40 minutes, and that just kind of wipes out the whole agenda. And I think we can get a lot more accomplished if we have a forum like this.
I agree.
And we can say more.
And I think it would make sense to distribute your packets beforehand,
Yeah,
because for a member to see this code for the first time,
Right.
and, be given, 4 or 5 minutes to comment,
Yeah.
it's hard to make substantive comments that
Sure.
really integrate the full scope.
and I think the packets that you were in the file they were probably submitted, I don't know, for the deadline. They
It's
were
better if you go
reflective
see, it's better if you
of an earlier version.
PDF it to me,
Okay.
and then I can give it to staff, and they can PDF it out to everybody else, so they can keep getting what we've been getting is the PDF
So it's all
version.
consistent.
So everybody can keep seeing it as we get stuff in, just keep firing it off. Even before we redo another preliminary review, just keep firing them off, so people have
Maybe
an idea
keep
what's
the-
going on.
Yeah.
When you find
That's
someone
fine. Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
review them,
When should we schedule our the next
Well, it's probably
review
going
of
to be after
this?
school vacation week,
Um,
since I'm not sure we're meeting.
we should do it on Thursday like now.
Do you have a calendar?
Yeah,
And on
Thursdays are better.
Tuesday.
I just don't know how far we're going to get I don't know if you have anything for us next Thursday.
I think we should try and shoot for that.
Yeah,
We
we
could.
could.
Tom has no life. He
No
just had
life.
his vacation last weekend.
Right.
Oh, nice. So I'll stick this on for next Thursday, and we'll have to see where we are on Thursday. You know,
The
Tuesday night,
17th.
see how much we've got going over. Because if we
Yep.
got nothing going over to next Thursday,
Yep.
Then we can spend.
then we
some
can
time.
spend a lot more time on it.
That's perfect.
So that's the goal. So I'll put that on for Thursday at 1 o'clock.
Can I just ask one clarifying, because I'm a little bit confused of the
We're on this on
direction
next Thursday.
with respect to simplifying it or
Next Thursday.
adding the detail. Is there a desire for us to simplify some of this design or no?
What do you mean simplifying?
I'm just a
Take
little
some
bit
of the
confused
gingerbread
where,
off?
yes.
I think the 3-foot overhang with the pent roof is a problem for me.
Okay.
The depth of the overhang has always been a problem for me, because we just don't have that here. Harborview Terrace has one on Bungalow, but a big bungalow. That's where you see them down on Brant Point. You don't see them really anywhere else. The Life Saving Museum, that's not what this is. So it's kind of taken on a whole nother for me, a whole nother vernacular that we don't have on commercial structures.
Okay.
Especially in the Mid-Island, we just don't have it.
Not yet.
No.
Have what?
And I don't want to go there. So I think if you can have a heavy shadow line, but not 3 feet.
That's where yeah, okay.
Okay.
I want, yeah.
David?
You know, I continue to think that having covered walkway along Pleasant Street is terribly important.
As well as in between the two gables on the parking
You know,
lot
the
side.
whole direction of the Mid-Island area plan was to try to encourage some movement along those streets. I know we're pushing it uphill, but I think we need to do something. The Pleasant Street frontage, I think, is problematic. Now, you know, you're noting the entrance to the store with that gable.
I knew you were going to say that.
The dormers are stronger than the gable by a country mile.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
dormers
And
need
the
to get
pitches are
smaller.
big.
The gable could get a lot bigger.
Right.
It doesn't say that there's something important happening here. In fact, you know, the whole story here is that, you know, these gables tell you that this is where you ought to be, not here. And I think we want a street frontage that says entering from the street is at very least co-equal with entering from the parking lot.
Should we eliminate those?
The dormers?
The dormers?
I think small.
I'd rather
The only thing
I don't care if
the
they're there or
dormers
not.
have are birds.
I don't care if the dormers are there or
Have you
not.
been-
Yeah, let's take a look at North.
Right, it makes a home
We
for
can
all the
make this
birds.
a lot bigger. That's fine. Yeah.
I think they're way oversized. It's all clerestory space, so it's not as if there's living space in back of these dormers.
Exactly right.
Yeah, and even though you've got a very big uninterrupted roof on the loading dock side, just the interest provided by those 3 little dormers goes a huge
Big
way. So, you know, I would take a fresh pass
Yeah, 2
at how to make
options,
that
smaller
roof
and
frontage
none.
Okay.
more interesting, more commanding. You know, I still find the roof pitches very shallow on this. It's still,
Yeah.
it doesn't say, it really says strip development to me. I'd look for ways to get steeper pitches. If it was a steeper pitch on that Pleasant Street frontage with the cupola, you would then be in the vocabulary of large old barns that had a long-running ridge one direction with cupola in the middle, and then a big center gable that went to the ridge coming forward. And you've done some things like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Matt,
that-
and I think it makes a very strong, simple statement without a lot of frou-frou. And I think that might be a direction to look in.
I would say that was the thought process on this, like the vernacular of these masses, if you will. The only challenge is that if I go with steeper, because I'm capped out at 30, my gable gets narrower. And then the west elevation becomes more challenging in terms of proportion, that long stretch. I'm trying to avoid breaking up into those smaller little pieces. So right now they're kind of like large enough so I can kind of break them up. So I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'll see if we can't
Well,
make this
just give us a
adjustment.
couple of options.
Yeah,
Give us
sure.
options. It doesn't have to be just one design that we're reviewing at a time. You
Yeah.
can bring in multiple options
Yeah.
for multiple sides, and we take one from column B, one from column A, if they all
Like a
sister
menu.
in together. But there's multiple ways of dealing with without having to give us all 4 sides, all da-da-da. If you have another option for Pleasant Street that will work with the other sides, bring that in. Multiples are going to work. We'll get it together eventually.
Different pitches on some of the roofs. If we go to the story of combining
Yep.
buildings at different times. Not every building has got the same pitch.
Same pitch.
Right.
You're right.
Yeah, I do think that different options help a board that's having a hard time putting their finger on exactly what it is they're not seeing, identify what the issue is, and give a clear direction.
So I think we're moving in the right direction. So we'll schedule it for next Thursday. I don't believe it's in this room, so I got to figure out, because I got a seminar, I got to figure out where we are and how much I've got left.
I won't be here next Thursday either, unfortunately.
School vacation.
We can do two Thursday.
Well, I mean, I think in the interest to keep them moving,
Yeah, okay.
next Thursday will be incredibly
Bill.
important.
Sarah, yeah.
And you're okay with Tom?
Yeah.
I'll be here.
Seems all right.
Okay. He's from off island, but he's
I
not
know,
wearing a
he's-
tie and jacket.
No tie.
No tie and jacket. Good.
All right.
Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn
No.
at 4:37?
I do not.
I've got to go to the other building.
We have been postponing the enforcement issues on 82, 86 Main, and 11 Baxter for the entire 6 years I've served. Damn it, I want something done before I go off this board. Those buildings are important and they're falling apart. All you need is an authorization to get town council started. It's ready to go. Let's take a quick vote and let him get going.
All right, that's not what he wants us to do. I'll read it to you.
I think we need to deal with this.
All
We
right, here.
can't kick it down the road
Here is his email.
every week for 6 years.
Here's his email. I got to get it to Diane. David, get it to Diane. I can't get it
I
there.
will.
I got it.
All right, here we go. Let's get this over with. He said he knows we have RLSs up there. What we have to do is vote an RLS to go back up on 8 Milestone Road and Baxter and 6 Gull Island. So, David, do you want to make a motion to get the RLSs back up for 11 Baxter, 8 Milestone, and 6 Gull Island?
Yeah, I want to do that Tuesday, and he's
Huh?
Is that the Davis house? Which is the...
yes,
the
11
big
Baxter
one?
is Davis.
Davis. I think actually we have an RLS for 11 Baxter, David, if I'm not mistaken. It was 8 Milestone, we have to start over, and 6 Gull Island, we haven't done it.
Yeah, I've done that.
I'm quite happy to put them to one side, because when we do 5 things at once, we accomplish nothing.
Well, no, he just, because then they can do the same thing that we're doing on the other 3. So he said, get the RLS approved to go back for 8 Milestone and 6 Gull Island.
Fine, so
Because then we'll do the same pattern with
on
all of
those
them.
two, we'll vote to do the RLS.
Okay, because they're in tough shape, nothing, there's been no movement on 8
Speaking,
Milestone.
Continuing to speak. On the others, he's recommending...
Well, that's what I'm saying, don't leave those 2 yet.
Continuing to speak.
You can't
with
leave those 2
difficulty.
yet. We have to make a separate motion on those 2
I said
with a
we'd
different
do
thing.
that, Linda. On the others, he is recommending the HDC vote to designate a representative or representatives, e.g. the chair and the administrator. I move that we designate the chair and the HDC administrator to act as...
Don't.
How old is your house?
Don't.
I'm going to make the motion. You don't have to vote for
He's
it.
not here. And it will hold up movement because he's not here.
Well, that's old.
Back.
No, he's leaving again, so he may
Okay.
not be
You
here.
don't both have to be on the island in order to function. You can talk by phone, you can make agreements.
I would just do the chair and administration and leave it as administration because I can get Andrew to do it if and all else fails. So don't specify
I'd
HDC.
like to see an HDC person do it
Yes, but he said
myself.
chair, but then the member of the town government should be just administration and
And a
wherever.
representative of the plus department. I'm perfectly
Okay.
happy to leave it
Okay,
that
that's what I'm
way.
saying.
Um,
Okay, and enforcement letter. Is that to send the enforcement letter to the property owners?
Well, they're going to have 2 functions. They need to collect the documentation by way of personal observations, reports from neighbors, photos, and et cetera.
Yeah.
Prepare the report of what those enforcement issues are, and forward it to town council for action
And
under,
those- okay.
under the previously approved RLS.
That particular part only applies to 82 and 86 Main and 11 Baxter Road at the moment.
Correct.
Okay, so that's
And when you
82.
get the RLS for the other two, you will do the same thing for them.
All right, make the motion on 82 Main, 86 Main, and 11 Baxter Road based on what you just said.
My motion is that in response to advice from town council, we designate the chair and a representative of the Plus Department to assemble documentation demonstrating the failure to maintain those three properties, and that they submit a report to town council, which will allow him to proceed against the owners of those three properties to seek proper maintenance and to prevent demolition by neglect.
Specifically with a letter. It says approve an enforcement letter.
Correct.
That's part of your motion.
That is part of my motion.
Okay, enforcement letter. Okay. All those in favor, and that's relevant to 82 Main, 86 Main, and 11 Baxter Road. All those in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Okay, now it's just simply to go for an RLS because we have concerns about minimum maintenance on 8 Milestone and 6 Gull Island.
I move that we seek permission for, I move we request legal services in the matter of 11 Milestone and what?
8 Milestone
Eight Milestone.
and 6 Gull Island.
6 Gull Island, too many numbers here.
And to start the process.
To initiate a process of seeking legal action to obtain minimum maintenance on those properties.
Okay. All those in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
Not hard. See?
Not hard. So somebody want to make a motion to adjourn at, is that 4:43?
4:43, so moved.
Thank you very much. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Okay, get those started. Oh, before we leave, we'll back up the adjournment, Terry, we'll just write it down. Mirka wanted to know, because she wanted to make sure you were still here, because she'll be down to 3, if she could come back with Fogarty's on Tuesday with the revisions.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
And we unplugged it.
No.
Why, what are you going to say, Diane?